Hey everybody, you are tuning in to the Canary Cry News Talk live stream pre-stream. Congratulations for being here just a bit early, as always. And a big old congratulations to Enoch87Bear over on YouTube for first comment of the day. It's come to my attention that sometimes the first comment of the day award doesn't go to the right people. And I apologize if that's the case, but I'm just looking at our conglomerated chat here. And whoever shows up first there gets the award. There's no way to fix it. So it's just part of the fun, keeping it fun and flirty. Anywho, folks, we're about to get the show started in just about, a little under a minute here. So I want to remind everybody, head over to CanaryCry.Party. You know the drill. Follow in all those locations. Become a producer if you haven't done it yet. You can find all the links to that over at CanaryCry.Party. While you're at it, follow us on all the normal social medias, but also join CanaryCry.Community, which is our non-Facebook affiliated, big tech sort of panopticon social media network. Go do that. It's official. People have met their spouses on CanaryCry.Community. So that's a fun thing. Go do that. Go meet your future wife or husband on CanaryCry.Community. Also, there's the Discord channel for all you Discord freaks out there. Anywho, we're going to get started here right now. What else do we need to do? No, that's it. Join the newsletter. Sorry, the newsletter went out a little late this last week, but it's out there. All the show notes are in your inbox. There you go. Stay hydrated. Buckle your seatbelts. Let's get going, folks.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is September 29th, 2021. This is episode 395. And today, the zombie JOE-POCALYPSE. And Razzle Dazzle, I'm your best buddy Basil.
And this is Gonz, your favorite agent provocateur for Christ. Welcome to the podcast where we bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ. While reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. Man, you'd think I'd have that down by now, but I don't. So
it takes a few years to really be able to articulate the same sentence 3 times a week. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Well,
it took me almost a decade to get Razzle Dazzle down.
That's true. Yeah. Well, if this is your first episode listening to Canary Cry News Talk, welcome. I don't think we do enough to welcome the new time listeners.
No, and they're coming in all the time. So if you're a new listener out there, welcome to the show. We understand that there's a little bit of a barrier of entry because there's like a whole culture here. There's some inside jokes. There's some references you might not get. But just stick around. It all starts to make sense. And before you know it, you'll feel like part of the family. And you probably heard about us either through some sort of algorithm suggestion on Apple Podcasts or something, or someone in your life shared the show with you and you finally caved and listened. Whatever the case may be, we're glad you're here. And so stick around. We'll have some fun.
Yes, we must reprogram your neurolinguistic programming with our language. Speaking of which, just real quick, somebody in the community, the Canary Cry community here, put together a truther dating app, and it looks really legit. Canary Cry community member Truth Seeker 77 put together the Fountain.app.
Yes, let's disclaim real quick.
Yeah, disclaim.
Neither of us, we are not affiliated with this at all. We don't get paid or anything, although hopefully, if there is some sort of monetization structure over there, hopefully Truth Seeker will give us some kickback or something, become a producer of the show. But yes, so we're not affiliated with this. we can't even technically endorse it because we haven't tried it. So
I don't know how well it would go over with the wife if I tried this.
Yeah, just tell her it's for work. It's fine. So, anywho, but it is very cool and very exciting. You know, we have professionals all over the world who are producers of the show and members of the community. And yeah, so what's the name of it again?
Thefountain.app.
Thefountain.app. And it is, Christian truther dating site, which is cool. And it looks very well put together. The webpage is great.
Yeah, it looks very professional.
Got some latest users there. So there you go. If that's, it's funny because this is something that people have been telling us to make for years and years and years. And, whenever somebody tells us to do it, we just tell somebody else out in the world to do it.
Great idea. Here you go.
Yeah.
Somebody do it.
Somebody did it. Somebody pulled through. So go check it out. Let us know what it's like. Let us know if it's good. Let us know if you meet somebody. Let us know how it compares. We want to give an honest accounting to whatever this is. Not whatever this is. Whatever anything is. There you go. Thefountain.app. I'm assuming they have an app, right? That seems like...
I would imagine, yes, this is an app, the web version of the app, but I haven't really downloaded it.
It's on the Apple Marketplace or whatever.
Yeah, we'll see. But there you go. I just wanted to throw that out there because
sure. No, that's very fun. So go check that out. And again, if you meet, your future husband or wife, either on CanaryCry.community or a product like thefountain.app, which was created by a member of the Canary Cry community, just remember us in your vows.
There you go. I wanted to start things off. Is there anything?
There you go.
There you go, folks. Got something to do while you're listening to the show.
Yeah, you could be swiping on other Christian singles, truther singles, while you listen to the show.
Yeah. Oh, just really making every one of us
a fully immersive experience here at Canary Cry Talk.
I had this story. I didn't know where to put it, so I just put it at the top, because it's fun. This is CBSnews.com. A museum says they gave an artist $84,000 in cash to use an artwork. He delivered blank canvases and titled them, "Take the money and run."
That's very good.
It finally happened. Funny. The minimalist, the reductionist abstract art has reached its apex, I believe. And
I think that's a wonderful art project. That actually
is very clever.
That speaks to me very deeply.
I mean, if you get $84K up front for art and you're known for more abstract, social commentary pieces, this was inevitable. Somebody was going to do this. But yeah, it's fantastic. It's two giant pieces of blank canvas.
Take the money and run.
Take the money and run.
That was very good.
And I bet the museum loves it.
I think it also speaks very deeply to NFTs right now.
It does. Yeah, it's kind of it's a social commentary on the blockchain revolution there. But yeah, I think this is great for the exhibition, the Kunsten Museum of Modern Art. They're probably very happy that a bunch of people might visit the museum to see a blank piece of canvas.
I would go just to support the
concept. Idea. The Danish artist who came up with this concept.
I'd pay my $17 to get into that museum.
Yeah. Well, anyway, there you go. That's just thought I'd throw that in there at the top to show the state of the world.
Well done. Well done.
Yep. Another thing, one of our dames, Dame Allie, did an art piece about the article this Marjorie Taylor Greene meltdown reveals an uncomfortable truth about Christianity. We touched on it during the break. I think it was last episode because Dame Allie put together that art, the drawing of Marjorie Taylor Greene. It has come to my attention that the author of this article that was published, it was an opinion piece in NBC News.
Yeah.
The name here, Noah Berlatsky. Well, somebody did some research and it has been revealed that this Noah Berlatsky,
when it starts with, "It has been revealed."
According to opindia.com, meet Noah Berlatsky, the Rutgers University press-published author working hard to normalize pedophilia.
Uh-oh.
Yes. He went viral back in 2017 for pushing this idea of MAPS, M-A-P-S, calling, minors attracted persons. And they're trying to make them into kind of a
sexual orientation.
A sexual orientation, but also a group that's being, unequally treated in the public eye.
Oppressed minority.
Yeah. So that's the Jewish atheist writing that article. Remember, the author made
self-proclaimed. That is not
self-proclaimed. That's not us. No, I have it here.
He made a big point in the article to brag to make mention that he's a Jewish atheist and thinks Christian values in America are killing our democracy. Same guy who wrote about pedophilia being normalized.
Yep, there you go.
Or calling for pedophilia to be normalized. Yeah, well, that's unfortunate. Now, here's one thing, Gons. Have we tracked down an article about that he's written?
Yeah, I'm showing it. Well, I think his Twitter revealed the article has all the screenshots.
Like
yeah.
Okay.
So I think the evidence is pretty out
good.
there. Yeah,
I
it's not something that's
spread
really
any fake news from some Indian outlet or something.
No, and it's interesting because we had, like on Twitter, we had a little run-in with somebody that was pushing this idea a few years ago. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why they decided to troll us or, my Twitter account, but they were there. Maybe I said something inflammatory back or something, but I recognize some of the people that are quoted in the artitle, like a link to the tweet. I recognize the people that were there pushing this MAPS idea. And yeah, so anyway.
It's unfortunate that they took the name MAPS, because MAPS is also the name for, I believe it's the name for the organization that is doing research into medically applied psychedelic research.
Oh, maybe, huh? Yeah, there's multidisciplinary. I don't think it's the
same one, but it's...
There's a multidisciplinary association for psychedelic studies. Yeah, MAPS, M-A-P-S.
Yeah,
it's a nonprofit founded in 1986. So yeah, quit trying to hijack the cool stuff, Berlatsky.
Yeah, well, I wonder if they did that on purpose.
Maybe. Yeah.
You can. It's kind of like when you get a phishing email or something. It's like, your Facebook has been hacked. Click this link and put in your password, and that's how they steal your Facebook password.
Or maybe they thought, who in the normal general public would most likely accept our concept, and they were like, the people that are
those psychonauts
completely tripping out on the pharmakia there.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a good follow-up. Yeah,
yep.
If you want to hear more about that article, you can listen to last episode.
Yep, and one more update that connects to last episode. I did a whole breakdown on the occult connections to Cardano, ticker symbol ADA, the decentralized blockchain smart contract platform. And it came out between last episode and now on 11 News. Cardano to power humanoid robot nurse named Grace.
Oh my gosh, it's all coming together.
It's coming together, man.
First, Cardano partners with all the big telecom companies to create Skynet and et cetera, et cetera. Now, Cardano being one of the technologies behind Nurse Grace, the robotic nurse who is going to replace all of those filthy unvaccinated animals who are getting fired, those nurses. Yeah, Cardano, what are you doing? It's like getting involved in everything we've been reporting on.
Well, I think the guy, I forget his name, Grotzel. I could be messing up his name, but he's the one that runs Singularity Net.
Yes.
He had originally talked about building his whole Singularity situation on Ethereum, and he has since switched to Cardano. So I think that has a lot to do with it. And so we might see Sophia over on Cardano too, eventually. The whole Skynet might be. I mean, this is literally like the first true story of a Skynet where you have this like blockchain smart contract platform saying they're going to power a robot, the whole network of robots, robot nurses, especially. Like, wow, okay, that's not dystopian or anything.
It's all coming together.
It is all coming together. All right. Speaking of robots.
Yes, time for a Flippy update.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Okay, if you're new to the show, Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world, and just how there's nothing we can do about it. Gons, today, again, another instance of, I don't know, us being vindicated or confirmed or
Vindicated.
Even better. This is coming from the
I tried to tell you.
Sorry, I was trying to move that one, but it just went.
No, it's all good. It needed to be there. TheTimes.com or whatever. The headline is, "Can
or
this
whatever.
man..."
It's the times.co.uk. There you go.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure. Thank you.
Come on, we can't just be whatever on a source.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
This article was trending on Twitter, so this was an easy Flippy update to find, but that even, again, gives more credence to the reason why we talk about Flippy at the top of the show. And a lot of people over the years, I'm not saying everybody, but it is not uncommon to see comments either in the chat or in a review or in whatever of someone being like, "This is a great show. Love these guys. I wish they'd stop talking about robots, though. It's stupid and pointless. Who cares about Flippy?" And bro, let me tell you, because this guy cares about Flippy. Can this man save the world from artificial intelligence? Mo Gaudet is the Silicon Valley super geek who believes we face an apocalyptic threat from artificial intelligence. The former Google Supremo tells Hugo Rifkind how a human tragedy shaped the way he sees the future and what we need to do next. I'm just going to read from a couple passages of this article because it's very long, but it reads like this. Mo Gaudet glimpsed the apocalypse in a robot arm, or rather, in a bunch of robot arms, all being developed together, an arm farm. They had been tasked, these arms, with learning how to pick up children's toys, not like vices, but like hands, gently, delicately, navigating unfamiliar shapes. For a long time, they were getting nowhere, weeks after weeks of fumbling, and as the chief business officer of Google X, the mad moonshot bit of Google, the blue sky dreaming bit, the bit he describes by saying, quote, "Have you ever seen Men in Black?" Gaudet would walk past them every day, hearing them whine up and down, but not really paying much attention. Then, one day, an arm picked up a yellow ball and showed it proudly to the camera. The next day, all the arms could do it. 2 days after that, they could pick up anything at all. Quote, "And I suddenly realized," said Gaudet, "this is really scary. Like, we had those things for weeks, and they were doing what, and they are doing what children will take 2 years to do. And then it hit me that they are children, but very, very fast children. They get smarter so quickly. And if they're children and they're observing us, I'm sorry to say, we suck."
Wow. Okay.
A couple more little things here. Mo Gaudet is 54, black t-shirt, black jeans, Converse, bald head, silver beard, very tech. We're meeting in a nice flat he has rented in London. He's rich. It's obvious, blah, blah, blah. Let's boil it down. What Gaudet thinks, essentially, is that we're about to hit the singularity, when artificial intelligence will eclipse humans as the smartest conscious beings on the planet. We will not be able to control them, and in time, we will not even be able to understand them any more than cockroaches can control or understand us. They will have the power to crush us, and the way things are going, they will probably want to as well. So our only hope is to love them and hope they...
Oh my gosh.
I know.
No.
So our only hope is to love them and hope they fondly love us back, as they ought to anyway, because we're their mums and their dads. Quite a lot going on here. Well, buckle up. And then it goes on for about 100 more paragraphs. But there you go, folks. You've all been wondering why this silly, googly-eyed man-child keeps talking about robot arms and talking about the end of the world. Well, Google Supremo Mo Gadat, who is the chief business officer of Google X, which is basically the DARPA of Google, he came to the same conclusion. And he came to the same conclusion through the same object, a robot arm. So there you go. It's just the takeaway from all this is Basil is on par with even the smartest Silicon Valley geniuses.
I like how it all comes back to you and your status and intelligence.
I gotta boost that brand,
It's gotta be biblical.
The thing that's we always play this clip at the end of the show, and it's Ultron from the Marvel universe.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
I mean, talk about as it were in the days of Noah, written there in Matthew 24, when Jesus talks about when he'd return. Yeah, we're definitely doing it. It's happening right in front of our eyes. Pretty wild.
And notice he came to the same conclusion that I've been pointing out has been the social programming behind all these robots and the humanization of robots, the robot gaze, all this stuff. It comes down to our only hope is to love the robots. Love the robots or die.
Mm-hmm. And there's a whole thing there about the image of the beast too.
Yes, exactly.
And the worship of it. And it all kind of comes together. It's all coming together for sure. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, one of the more, I would say this could be the most important Flippy update we've ever had.
I think so. I mean, it sums everything up, and it comes from, this isn't like a crazy, fringy outlet. It's just the Times. It's a mainstream outlet. It's a mainstream guy. It's a Google guy, very on the inside, very connected, who came to the same conclusion with the same sort of information, or the same catalyst, which is these robot arms. And he's coming, but he kind of he sees the apocalypse coming, but is saying, well, we have no choice. We've completely lost control of
we must love them. That is insanity.
And hope they love us back, which again goes back to, remember Siri? Everybody was being mean to Siri and cursing at Siri, and there's that whole social, they did an experiment on children that, if they see their parents being mean to Siri, then they be mean to Siri, and it sort of changes how they treat other people, because a lot of children, they don't understand that Siri or Google is not like a person. Like the personhood of these AIs are built in. I have a friend. He often listens to the show. If you're out there, what's up, buddy? Where he was telling me about his kids, or maybe his wife was telling me, his kids, they have a Google. I think it's a Google. The OK Google home thing. And they always did like OK Google, and Google would talk to them, and they'd turn on music or whatever. And they hadn't quite done the intentional thing of like explaining to their child that OK Google is not a person. And for the longest time, they had a moment where like the child was like, acting as if OK Google was just another person that lived in their house. Didn't know it was a robot. So, and this is just sort of like the subtle, casual
progress of conditioning.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Social progress, the conditioning of AI integration into our lives. And, it's one thing for crazy conspiracy theorist parents to feel one way about it. But, a child with no context, it's not even it's just like not even, there's no obstacle there. It's just, oh yes, Siri, this nice lady who does stuff for my parents and lives in our home.
I wonder how much of what we're seeing now, the divisiveness, the divide and conquer going on with the vaxxed and unvaxxed, has to do with AI-driven stuff. Because you think about, I mean, if you want to go to the deep down the rabbit hole, it's like, oh, the AI needs to create their hive mind, so they must siphon off a certain part of the population who will comply to improving themselves and protecting themselves via the science, even though the science doesn't necessarily align.
Yeah.
You talk about the AIs in science fiction, especially like Ultron's a great example, because his whole thing was like, we must cleanse, we need to clean. Like there's this weird,
it's like a jihad or like a holy war.
Yes. Yeah. And to do that, they need the humans to comply and basically die. Some of them die, you know. So it's like this weird parallel happening with all the vaccine talk. Like, oh, if you don't take it, you're not listening to science. Well, science according to who? Humans or maybe AI? I don't know.
Yes,
but
the fealty test, as John C. Dvorak put in his newsletter recently.
Yes. Okay, there you go. And speaking of which, we're going to get into some deep COVID-19 stuff here.
It's Corona time. COVID-19, 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 yes. COVID-19, COVID-19,
Coronavirus.
Yep. So I have some clips, but before we get into the clips, I want to just briefly mention this story here from The Intelligencer, mirrored on MSN. The headline is, quote, "I'm not changing my mind. New York fires unvaccinated healthcare workers." And this has been a thing in the last, I don't know, few days. I've seen a lot of tweets saying 70,000 nurses quit or were fired overnight. And other numbers I saw, the highest number I saw was like 90,000 nurses have quit in New York, you know. And this article is interesting because, first off, I was looking for a mainstream outlet covering that aspect, like how many nurses got fired. And there really wasn't. There was a couple misdirection type of articles. And this was probably the most shared one, or maybe the one that was, I don't know, at the top of the list in terms of like a search engine search. But it says here, on Tuesday morning, hours after New York's vaccine mandate for healthcare workers went into effect, Deborah Conrad was pretty sure she'd lost her job. The 46-year-old physician's assistant who works at United Memorial Medical Care in Batavia has refused to get the shot and was one of tens of thousands of unvaccinated New Yorkers whose employment hung in the balance after the state's order went into effect at midnight. Conrad's coworker told her she was no longer on schedule for next week, and her email seemed to have been shut off. So notice how they go into like a personal interest type of story. They don't give numbers up top. It's like we're going to follow this one person. And then it mentions Governor Kathy Hochul. We have the clip for that in a moment here, which is pretty ridiculous too. And it says here, the state's largest healthcare employer, Northwell Health, was the first to confirm that it had fired about 24 managers on Monday for not getting the shot, while Northwell, which employs 76,000 people statewide, has begun the process of firing the rest of its unvaccinated staff. It would not provide numbers on just how many workers it would lose. Erie County Medical Center had suspected about 5% of its hospital workforce, or 176 employees, in addition to 100 staff members at its long-term care facility. So we got some numbers, but it's nowhere close to 70,000. The largest number they had here was 5,000. Said here, after the last minute surge that inoculated 3,000 public hospital employees, Mayor Bill de Blasio, you know him, vaccination, that guy, said that roughly 10% of the city's public hospital workforce, or about 5,000 people, remained unvaccinated and were not allowed to work. So, I mean, I don't know. The numbers are so unclear. I think it's because the threshold came. It wasn't like automatically every single person that's not vaccinated is terminated in that moment. Right. But it seems like it's a slow roll, and we won't know full numbers. But at least they're trying to cover it. But it's like they're not really saying how many people would really be affected, and the numbers are in the hundreds, which is like people might say, "Oh, it's a minority," but in this one hospital chain or whatever.
Hospital, yeah.
So I thought it was interesting because no other coverage about it other than stuff like this, where it's very light.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point, because that, again, most pro-vax people would be very concerned that so many healthcare workers are not getting the jab and are, on that's just one part of the concern. The other part of the concern is, and now they're getting fired, so we don't have any nurses, or we have less nurses. Interesting how they don't give any numbers on doctors, things like that. But also interesting that it comes within a day or two of the news of Cardano connecting with Grace.
Yeah, the UN, or not the UN, oh boy, what are they called? National Guard. Ugh. Brain.
National Guard getting brought in. Yeah. Well, the timing on these things coming out is all part of the program.
Yeah. And I have to say, if we're truly in a pandemic, would you really fire like however many maybe 10,000 to 70,000 medical professionals? I mean, come on.
If the science showed that the vaccine actually protected people, or protected against the pandemic as a whole. Like if the vaccine actually stopped the spread or did any of these things, if the science showed that, and COVID was like significantly more deadly, then you could be like, okay, all right, it makes sense. But the problem is the science doesn't show that. The vaccine is totally bunk according to the science. I mean, I'm not even talking about microchips or DNA editing or any of the like conspiracy stuff. I'm just saying straight up mainstream science. Yeah. The vaccine does not do what they originally said it would do, and it's not even very good at doing what they say it does now. And did you get the clip, by the way? If you did, sorry, I missed it. If you did, the announcement from Australia about their current COVID numbers?
No.
Okay. I don't know. Well, if I can find it in 3 seconds, we can play the clip. But other than that, Australia, which, again, we stand with you, Australians. We're paying attention. More power to you. The Australian authorities came out and made this big announcement about how they have 7 new COVID cases. I found it. Okay, I'm going to tag you in. It's on Twitter. Do you want the Twitter link?
Okay.
It's okay. I'll grab the Twitter link here. I'll put it in the doc. We'll hear the clip in a second, but it is about the new COVID numbers in Australia, and the very interesting. Oh my gosh, my auto scroll thing is going nuts, so I have to put this at the top of the page. It's up above the intro there for you.
Oh gosh,
I know it's going nuts. I'll let you click into that.
Yep, I'm doing it now. Okay. Opening file. I got anything else to say about it?
Well, it's just some very interesting details about their COVID numbers and how many are vaxxed and how many are unvaxxed. The real danger of what they're facing over there. The reason why they have militarized police terrorizing their citizens is because of these numbers here.
As the Minister said, tragically today we announced the deaths of 7 people who have lost their lives to COVID-19, 4 women and 3 men. 1 person was in their 40s, 1 person in their 50s, 2 people in their 70s, 2 people in their 80s, and 1 person who was in their 90s. All of those individuals had underlying health conditions. 1 person was not vaccinated. 3 people had received 1 dose of a COVID vaccine, and 3 people had received 2 doses of a COVID vaccine.
Are they trolling us at this point?
I know, bro.
What in the world?
It doesn't sound real. It's crazy. This was the official COVID death numbers. 7 people died. They all had comorbidities, which we know is a big problem. But 6 of the 7 were vaccinated. How in the world?
And they were like old. I mean, they weren't all super old, but they're 50s older
and above. Yeah, they're in the at-risk group. So. Yeah, it's there you go. Not much else needs to be said about that.
Just real briefly, because you reminded me, Norway, I think, lifted all mandates and lockdowns and everything.
even better. Norway is categorizing COVID in the same category as the flu.
The flu, that's right.
They're even taking it down. They're not even considering it like this big deadly thing. It's just like a flu, and just like any other disease that'll, swoop by during certain parts of the year. Of course, I go back and forth in Norway. I love the land of my people. They have their own problems and figuring out the right balance of capitalism and socialism. But hey, whatever they're doing, at least they are having setting realistic categories of what COVID at least has become.
Yeah. We started with the nursing story, or the nurses being fired in New York. I want to bring it back to New York because Governor Kathy Hochul had something to say about the vaccines.
I prayed a lot to God during this time. And you know what? God did answer our prayers. He made the smartest men and women, the scientists, the doctors, the researchers. He made them come up with a vaccine. That is from God to us. And we must say, thank you, God. Thank you. And I wear my vaccinated necklace all the time to say, I'm vaccinated. All of you. Yes, I know you're vaccinated. You're the smart ones. But there's people out there who aren't listening to God and what God wants. You know this. You know who they are. I need you to be my apostles. I need you to go out and talk about it and say, we owe this to each other. We love each other. Jesus taught us to love one another. And how do you show that love?
By giving
to care about each other enough to say, please get vaccinated because I love you. I want you to live. I want our kids to be safe when they're in schools. I want you to be safe when you go to a doctor's office or to a hospital and are treated by somebody. You don't want to get the virus from them. You're already sick or you wouldn't be there.
She almost said vaccine there, by the way. She stopped herself. Good job. Good job, Hochul.
We have to solve this, my friends. I need every one of you. I need you to let them know that this is how we can fight this pandemic, come back to normal, and then start talking about the real issues that we have to. Fighting systemic racial injustice, which exists today. And if there's a denier, I will take you on any day because I've seen it. I know it exists.
Blah, blah. It's funny. It's like, if the pandemic is announced over, you think things are going back to normal?
Yeah, as if they're just going to go back and solve all the problems with racial injustice.
Yeah.
What she's doing is she is saying those who are unvaccinated are obstacles to racial injustice.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
If you're unvaccinated, you're racist.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's just so out of control. And she's standing at a podium here, by the way.
She's talking to a church. A church let a politician come into the church and speak on behalf of God and ask everybody to be her apostles to go pressure people into getting the vaccine.
It's insane. This is not Hochul. It's the Hochult.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, Hochult.
Yeah. That's why you listen, folks.
She's...
For those clever dad jokes.
Just completely wackadoodle, man. It is outrageous.
I mean, there's a good argument about the whole, modern apostles type of thing. Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I know there's like a segment of Christians who are a little more on the charismatic side who believe that there's like modern apostles and you can you can become an apostle, whatever. Like there's a whole thing. I mean, if I were them, I would be upset with this too. It's like, don't use the analogy.
Totally. I mean,
don't make it seem like you're Jesus.
You'll know the tree by its fruits.
Yeah.
And the fruits falling off of that tree do not look very ripe.
Yeah.
Or too ripe, maybe.
And in a moment here, we'll contrast the governor of New York here, Hochul, with some jocks, some NBA players about the situation here. But in the meantime, let's see what. Oh, this is New York protesting. Did you see any of the footage come out?
No, I didn't really pay attention to New York protests.
They are protesting the streets. It's interesting because we've been watching it.
Okay, New York pulling Australia on us.
Well, we've been seeing so much of it around the world. It's interesting that we're seeing it in New York, and it's kind of starting to brew in our country. And I had to censor the words. Some of the stuff they're chanting is not show friendly. We try to be family friendly here. We know there's our young ears listening to the show, so I did my best to bleep things out.
Sometimes you miss things.
Sometimes I do miss things. I think I got it all here. Here's the first one.
Earmuff warning, is that what this is?
Earmuff warning, yep.
Okay.
So here's some people walking the streets. I believe this is Manhattan, but here we go. So they're saying,
F Joe Biden and
de Blasio. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And this is a good amount of people. It's not like a drone shot. We can't quite get a full scale of how many people are out there, but there's at least hundreds.
Yeah. Just kind of scanning the video clip here, I thought it was interesting because the look with the signs, like the homemade signs, it's more organic looking. You know how a lot of times like the funded protests, they have these huge signs. It's like
when the signs are too high quality.
You kind of know it's like a controlled op thing. But at the same time, if you would have told me, if you didn't play the audio, you just saw the video and you saw like somebody has a my body, my choice thing, it would look more like a liberal rally, like a year or two ago, been like, oh, look at these liberals protesting. That's what it would kind of look like. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting that it's moving in that direction.
Except for you have American flags.
Right. It's kind of, it is breaking down that whole concept of, left-right paradigm. It seems like these people are just kind of waking up to stuff. And here's another one. Again, I'd covered up as much as I could with the F-bombs there, but here we go. This is one man screaming out of his car and a whole bunch of people walking the streets cheering him on.
The vaccine! That's right! The vaccine, yeah! Let's do it!
Yeah, buddy.
Well, yeah, buddy. People, this guy, in the driver's side of his car, he got his window rolled down, F the vaccine, and all these people are walking up to him, giving him high fives.
Yeah. Black guy, by the way, he's the new face of white supremacy if he's not vaccinated. That's the standard the Democrats in California have set.
I know, it's true.
Yeah.
So, part of the process of making sure that these people don't continue to digest misinformation is social media platforms. And the New York Times came out with an article that says here, headline, YouTube bans all anti-vaccine misinformation.
Yes. Coming from, I'll take this if you don't mind. YouTube bans all anti-vaccine misinformation, which doesn't seem like a big surprise, but let's go into it. So again, I'll take this opportunity for those who only watch on YouTube and are YouTube specific and have not taken the time to follow us on other locations or subscribe to the podcast or join the newsletter. Let this be your first warning. Remember, we've done this. We've gone through this before, folks. If you're a YouTube person, you must connect to us on other platforms and just subscribe to the podcast because it's the only way to guarantee that you won't disappear. Or we won't disappear from your life. Reads like this. YouTube said on Wednesday that it was banning the accounts of several prominent anti-vaccine activists from its platform, including those of Joseph Mercola and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., as part of an effort to remove all content that falsely claims that approved vaccines are dangerous. In a blog post, YouTube said it would remove videos claiming that vaccines do not reduce rates of transmission. Okay, so YouTube is censoring the actual science about vaccines. All we do here is read the mainstream media and read the scientific papers, and that's it. We just read what's out there, but not good enough for YouTube. YouTube said it was remove videos claiming that vaccines do not reduce rates of transmission or contraction of disease. and content that includes that's interesting because
it doesn't say COVID-19.
Right.
It says disease.
They're talking about all vaccine information.
Yeah, they have to say
not
that.
Not just COVID, but
otherwise,
all vaccine. Yeah. I think that's the way they're getting around it.
Yep.
Is they're because the science of the COVID vaccine is very clear. Despite the fact that some mainstream media lies and says that it's not. But when they use this very generalized language, apply it to all vaccines and say, any vaccine doesn't prevent any disease, then they have a reason and justification to get rid of whatever they want. So, let's see here. In a blog post, YouTube said it would remove videos claiming that vaccines do not reduce rates of transmission or contraction of disease, and content that includes misinformation on the makeup of the vaccines. Oh, all you, what is that stuff called? Oh my gosh.
Uh-oh. That mute button. Oh, he's coughing. He's
thank goodness.
Shaking.
Thank goodness for the mute button there.
I was making sure you were okay. I mean, you were like convulsing over there. It was what is happening?
It's sucking on my own spit. Okay. What was I talking about? My gosh. Sorry, I'm having so much trouble getting through this.
Let's just get through because it clarifies some more stuff in the next paragraph. That includes
misinformation on the makeup of vaccine, claims that approved vaccines cause autism, cancer, or infertility. Interesting. Approved vaccines, or that the vaccines contain trackers, will also be removed. I'm fine with getting rid of the vaccines contain trackers video. I think a lot of that is disinfo, purposefully put out. The platform, which is owned by Google, has had a similar ban on misinformation about the COVID-19 vaccines, but the new policy expands the rules to misleading claims about long-approved vaccines, such as those against measles and hepatitis B, as well as to falsehoods about vaccines in general, YouTube said. Personal testimonies relating to vaccines, content about vaccine policies and new vaccine trials, and historical videos about vaccine successes or failures will be allowed to remain on the site. Quote, today's policy update is an important step to address vaccine and health misinformation on our platform, and will continue to invest across the board in policies that bring its users high-quality information, the company said in its announcement. Oh, but high-quality information, Gons. I think that's us. We do bring high-quality information. In addition,
is that why they shut down 2 of our channels?
That's why they haven't gotten rid of this one. In addition to banning Dr. Mercola and Mr. Kennedy, YouTube removed the accounts of other prominent anti-vaccine activists, such as Erin Elizabeth and Cherie Tenpenny, a company spokeswoman said. The new company puts YouTube more in line with Facebook and Twitter.
The new policy, sorry.
What did I say?
Company. It's okay. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. The new policy puts YouTube more in line with Facebook and Twitter. In February, Facebook said that it would remove posts with erroneous claims about vaccines, including taking down assertions that vaccines cause autism or that it is safer for people to contract the coronavirus than to receive vaccinations against it. Okay, but I'm not even going to go into it. But the platform remains a popular destination for people discussing misinformation, such as the unfounded claim that the pharmaceutical drug ivermectin is an effective treatment for COVID-19.
Oh my gosh.
I wonder if they'll take down information about Pfizer just recreating ivermectin and Pfizer admitting in their own Pfizer-mectin documents that ivermectin is an effective antiviral and shuts down the protease, or is a protease inhibitor.
Stop spreading fake news, Basil. We don't do that here.
It's true. I forgot that Pfizer's official documents do count as fake news since they are habitual liars.
We just play jingles here, folks.
Ivermectin. I got COVID. Ivermectin. All kinds of meds. Ivermectin. Everything. Ivermectin. Boom, he took ivermectin.
In March, Twitter introduced its own policy that explained the penalties for sharing lies about the virus and vaccines. But the company has a 5 strikes rule 5 of them, before it permanently bars people for violating its coronavirus misinformation policy. The accounts of such high-profile anti-vaccination activists like Dr. Mercola and Mr. Kennedy remain active on Facebook and Twitter, although Instagram, which is owned by Facebook, has suspended Mr. Kennedy's account. Misinformation researchers have for years pointed to the proliferation of anti-vaccine content on social networks as a factor in vaccine hesitation, including slowing rates of COVID-19 vaccine adoption in more conservative states. Reporting has shown that YouTube videos often act as the source of content that subsequently goes viral on platforms like Facebook and Twitter, sometimes racking up tens of millions of views. Quote, one platform's policies affect enforcement across all the others because of the way networks work across services, said Evelyn Duke, a lecturer at Harvard Law School who focuses on online speech and misinformation. Quote, YouTube is one of the most highly linked domains on Facebook, for example. She added, it's not possible to think of these issues platform by platform. That's not how anti-vaccination groups think of them. We have to think of the internet ecosystem as a whole. Oh, sounds like she's on the Jen Psaki train. If you're banned on one platform, you should be banned on all of them. Prominent anti-vaccine activists have long been able to build huge audiences online, helped along by the algorithmic powers of social media, social networks that prioritize videos and posts that are particularly successful at capturing people's attention. A nonprofit group, Center for Countering Digital Hate, published research this year showing that a group of 12 people were responsible for sharing 65% of the disinfo
dozen.
Disinfo dozen there. Blah, blah, blah. Dr. Mercola, an osteopathic physician, took the top spot in the disinformation dozen. His following on Facebook and Instagram totals are more than 3 million, blah, blah, blah. YouTube said that in the past year, it had removed over 130,000 videos for violating its COVID-19 vaccine policies, but this did not include what the video platform called borderline videos that discussed vaccine skepticism on the site. In the past, the company simply removed such videos from search results and recommendations. Yeah, no kidding. While promoting videos from experts and public health institutions. So there you go. All we're doing is discussing vaccine skepticism. Gone.
And I think we were caught up in the 130,000 videos.
Yes, we had plenty of videos taken down.
Yeah.
Again, for simply reading the science available to the public.
Right. And, you know, the misinformation, you know what it does? It makes people crazy. You know, people like Jonathan Issac of the Orlando Magic. Did you hear what he had to say about vaccine hesitancy? Listen to this crazy talk here.
I've had COVID in the past, and so our understanding of antibodies, of natural immunity has changed a great deal from the onset of the pandemic, and is still evolving. I understand that the vaccine would help if you catch COVID, and you'll be able to have less symptoms from contracting it. But with me having COVID in the past and having antibodies with my current age group and physical fitness level, it's not necessarily a fear of mine. Taking the vaccine, like I said, it would decrease my chances of having a severe reaction, but it does open me up to the, albeit rare chance, but the possibility of having an adverse reaction to the vaccine itself. I don't believe that being unvaccinated means infected, or being vaccinated means uninfected. You can still catch COVID with or without having the vaccine. I would say, honestly, the craziness of it all, in terms of not being able to say that it should be everybody's fair choice without being demeaned or talked crazy to, doesn't make one comfortable to do what said person is telling them to do. I would say that's a couple of the reasons that, I would say I'm hesitant at this time, but at the end of the day, I don't feel that it is, anyone's reason to come out and say, well, this is why or this is not why. It should just be their decision, and loving your neighbors, not just loving those that agree with you or look like you or move in the same way that you do. It's loving those who don't.
Dun, dun, dun.
Learn some, Hochul.
What a crazy radical that guy is.
Well, it's just crazy that he had a better take on the love your neighbor than the governor of New York.
Yeah.
Which I guess it shouldn't be surprising, but at the same time, people usually paint athletes as kind of jockish or whatever. But I mean, he seemed pretty informed. I mean, he touched on all the talking points
and reasonable.
Reasonable, yeah.
His amygdala is not swollen. He's not he's not speaking out of anger or some sort of hysteria. He's very calm, lays it out logically, which makes it more difficult to call him crazy anti-vaxxer white supremacist.
Yeah. They're going to have a lot of black white supremacists on their hands if they continue to push that narrative.
They like it that way. They created that concept that black people can be white supremacists, and it's come to the point where they may not be saying it outright, but they love to imply it.
Yeah. This hit home for me because when I was a little kid, I was in Orlando. I wasn't really an Orlando Magic fan, but I liked them because the franchise started when I was a little kid, and I would destroy white T-shirts by cutting them and making my own Orlando Magic jersey. Mm-hmm. And it was when there was a player named Penny Hardaway. I'm just dating myself. Penny Hardaway would play, and he wore the jersey number 1. And Jonathan Isaac also wears jersey number 1. So there you go.
Okay.
Come listen to the show, Jonathan Isaac.
Yeah, somebody send this to Jonathan Isaac. Yeah, let's get him on the show. Or at least, on the...
Excuse me.
Get him on the producer role.
Yeah. He wasn't the only NBA player that was speaking up about the situation. The NBA had their media day the last couple days, and so everybody was asked about vaccines and all this kind of stuff. So this is Bradley Beal of the Washington Wizards.
Every player, every person in this world is going to make their own decision for themselves. I would like an explanation to, people with vaccines. Why are they still getting COVID? If that's something that we are supposed to highly be protected from. Like, it's funny that, it reduces your chances of going to the hospital. It doesn't eliminate anybody from getting COVID.
There's a reporter that kind of speaks without a mic. I tried to boost the volume, so you'll kind of hear the interaction that takes place, but it might be a little hard to hear here.
Right. Okay. So is everybody in here vaxxed? I would assume, right? So you all can still get COVID, right?
We're less likely to die or go to the hospital.
Okay, but you can still get COVID. Right. So, and you can still pass it along with the vax, right?
So
I'm just asking the question.
Oh, for sure. And so, having COVID back around the Olympics, to having it change your opinion one way or another,
So he actually had COVID. He tested positive in the past. So that's what they're asking him. Hey, is it because you had it? Are you more hesitant about the vaccine because you had COVID?
They kind of reemphasize, I don't need the vaccine because of that.
No, that wasn't the case. I mean, yeah, I had it, but that doesn't mean I can't get it again. I mean, it's no different than somebody with the vaccine. I developed the antibodies for it. So my chances will be less likely now as well, right? But
27% less likely to get it than vaccinated people, according to the Israeli daters.
That's right.
It's still a possibility I may get it. Just like there are players and coaches and staff who are vaxxed and missing camp right now because of it. So
there you go. I know, making a lot of sense there, Bradley Beal.
This is interesting. In a world where the media loves to blast athletes for crazy ideas like Kyrie Irving, stuff like that, these two guys are coming at it with such a level head and without inflammatory language, again, without letting their a swollen amygdala get them all fired up and use language that can be turned against them. That's just very calm, very very logical, and I think they're doing a good job.
It's funny, though. There are two teams that I know will not do well this year, and that's the Washington Wizards and the Orlando Magic. And you know who will do well? are the Los Angeles Lakers, baby, because LeBron James, other Lakers confirmed being vaccinated for COVID-19. The whole team is vaccinated. They want to get that championship this year. They gotta comply.
That is how they're going to decide that. They're just going to give the trophy to the most vaccinated team.
Well, they are the oldest team this year. They had a bunch of old guys that have been in the league for 18, 19 years or whatever. And so, yeah, the oldest crew. So they have to be vaccinated, right? Of course.
Sure. They're at risk.
They're the highest at risk
geriatric basketball players. They're all in their 90s.
Yeah. Okay. Well, moving on here, we got a couple more. And we're trying something different with the breaks today, so we'll see how that works out. But this is the Jerusalem Post. Headline, could DNA vaccines be the next tool in the world's battle against COVID-19?
Probably.
Yay! We didn't call this either, right? We didn't say anything about DNA vaccines.
No, that would be crazy for us to be right about another thing. That would just be too much.
India last month began boasting that it has created and its regulatory body approved the world's first DNA vaccine, ZyCoV-D. The vaccine, developed by a company called Zydus Cadila, expects to have it available for use as early as next month, giving hope to the country that has suffered more than 447,000 deaths at the hand of the virus. Let's not talk about the Uttar Pradesh, who had, 5% vaccination rate, but had like 0 deaths for several days because everybody was being treated by ivermectin. Let's not talk about that. But
$3 ivermectin was harming the vaccination rates.
Right. Quit it. What is a DNA vaccine, and could this new class of vaccination become the next tool in the fight, the world's fight against COVID-19? A DNA vaccine is a form of software vaccine. Explained Tel Aviv's University's Professor Jonathan Gershoni. A software vaccine is one in which scientists vaccinate with a blueprint of the virus, just the DNA or the RNA corresponding to the genes that code for the spike protein, injecting it in a palatable and effective way into the body. The cells,
so palatable.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
The cells then synthesize the viral protein, which leads to the production of antibodies against the viral spike. I'm wondering if Anti-Mandy's in the chat. How is this different from the mRNA? Like, is it just the mechanism to have your body produce?
Funny you mentioned that. Anti-Mandy said, DNA vax is even worse. And actually, the J&J vax is already a DNA vax. Yeah. So that's interesting. I didn't know that. And for those who are new to the show, Anti-Mandy is a 25-plus year microbiologist who's a producer of the show, and so he keeps us straight on the straight and narrow with a lot of the biological science with this stuff. Okay, there we go.
This is opposed to a hardware vaccine, which actually contains hardware, that is, physical bits and pieces of the virus protein. I like how they use hardware, the actual hardware. Quote,
well, it's interesting because it's putting it into the language of the modern era where, again, you think about kids growing up with Google and robots and Siri and things like that. Software and hardware makes total sense.
Yep.
And it actually is a very good way to describe it, but also is a taxonomy for very worrisome ways of messing with the body.
Well, that, and it taps into the admission of science, which I think I talked about in Age of Deceit 2, where materialism is dying, and it's because they've had to sort of admit that the mind or the spirit is a kind of thing that exists not necessarily apart from the body, but as kind of a infusion with the body. There's like a spirit and body. So the software hardware conversation really taps into that without having to admit any kind of extra supernatural reality,
a soul or something like that.
Exactly.
And not to go down the rabbit hole, but that does fit in with the transition being made in society now from sort of living life in the real world to living life more and more in the digital space. First on social media, but now talking about the metaverse and VR.
Yeah, the metaverse is going to be, everybody's going to be talking about the metaverse in, I don't know, a year from now, maybe more than that. It's going to be a big thing.
Cryptocurrency, NFTs, digital real estate, all stuff like that. Stuff that sounds fake, but to the mind, the experience of the mind within the digital space is very real, and they're capitalizing on that.
Yep. Quote, you can have a hardware vaccine that consists of a killed virus, for example, or an attenuated virus, Gershoni explained. Quote, or you can have a subunit vaccine as well, such as the vaccine for hepatitis B, which is just purified spike protein. The immune system identifies the presence of the viral protein, and that stimulates the immune system to respond and make highly specific targeted antibodies that inactivate the virus, end quote.
I have a great, Anti-Mandy just gave us a great summary of DNA vaccines versus mRNA. So mRNA codes directly for the protein. So you insert the code and your body creates the protein. DNA codes for mRNA, which then codes for the protein. So they're backing up a step for whatever reason. DNA is slightly more stable than RNA under similar conditions, may be longer lived in the body. So yeah, they're zooming out. Instead of putting the mRNA right in you, they're putting the DNA in you, which then is the code to create the mRNA, which then does. So it's almost like it's
making your body work more.
It's a proto mRNA sort of situation.
Yeah, that is interesting. It's not that different then. It's just where you decide to enter into the chain of, I don't know, chemistry, biology.
Very easily, again, very easily understood in the sort of digital metaphor.
Yeah, very much so. It gets into some other stuff. Quote, we know that the information flow in biology goes like this. The genetic material is stored in a very stable molecule, double-stranded DNA. However, the information that flows from the gene needs to be transcribed to create a disposable and intermediate genetic material in the form of RNA. So RNA, in the traditional sense, is simply a disposable copy of the DNA gene. However, it is the RNA and not the DNA that is able to interact with the protein manufacturing machinery known as ribosomes.
Yeah. So again, to put it in another metaphor, Saul Paul said a gun instead of bullets. I would pull it out even further. If you call the spike protein the bullet, mRNA would be the gun. So they put the gun in your body that shoots out the bullets.
Yeah.
The DNA vaccine is like putting the gun factory in your body, which then creates the guns, which then creates the bullets, or shoots the bullets rather.
Yeah, it's just making the body do more.
Yeah.
Take more steps. That's the same thing then. That's interesting. Yeah, I like the analogies here. I don't think we need to go through the rest of this article. I think we get the point.
It's going to be pretty dense, science-y talk, but I think we nailed it.
Yeah, we don't need any more.
The summary.
Our producers do a better job of summarizing what the Jerusalem Post takes 50 more paragraphs to do. So there you go. DNA vaccines, be afraid, but also be educated. And next time somebody brings it up, you can explain to them what it is.
Yeah, it's interesting because we've covered these DNA things, DNA vaccines in the past as they've been developed over the past year. But they're getting closer and closer to actually being a reality. Yeah. And I think when they talked about that being palatable, I think they're referring to them making them edible. Because remember, there's all those companies making the edible vaccines and growing the vaccines in produce.
Lettuce and tomatoes and stuff. Yeah, of course. Yeah, or you can just bathe in it, Just one way or another, they're going to get it in our body. Put it in
the water supply.
It's all happening the way it's supposed to.
All right. I got one more here before we take our first short break, and that is coming from science.org. And the headline is New Chinese Vaccine Could Bolster Global Arsenal.
Yay.
Dun, dun, dun. With 24 COVID-19 vaccines already in use around the world, a successful efficacy trial of yet another candidate might elicit yawns. But the finding announced by China's Clover Biopharmaceuticals on 22nd of September in a press release and a slide deck full of unusually fine-grained information stood out. 2 doses of Clover's vaccine. Interesting, Clover. There's got to be some interesting occult connections with Clover.
What about Cloverfield, the movie?
I was so stoked on that movie when I was younger. I thought it was such a... Anywho, we don't need to get into it. Yes, so two doses of Clover's vaccine based on a modified SARS-CoV-2 protein. Notice how they don't mention spike protein.
Yeah.
They just call it a different thing. Offered solid protection against 5 variants of the virus, including the highly infectious Delta strain, now dominant across the world. The shots lowered the risk of disease both in people naive to the virus and those who had previously been infected. Naive. What a great word for them to use. This will be great for the naive people to the virus. And the Clover vaccine can be stored in a refrigerator, unlike messenger RNA products, which require freezers. Kathleen Newzell of the University of Maryland School of Medicine, who co-leads a U.S. COVID-19 vaccine trials network, says the data are terrific and welcome news for the world. If approved, Clover's vaccine could further strengthen China's position as the world's largest vaccine supplier. Also, yeah, that's worked out so great, making China the largest supplier of so many things. It's not like we have a supply chain crisis in the U.S. and across the world based on our reliance on China. Let's make them the largest vaccine supplier, while also helping improve perceptions at home and abroad about the quality of its products. Already, Chinese companies have produced half of the more than 6 billion COVID-19 vaccine doses used worldwide. How does the math work out on that? Anywho, roughly 2 billion in China itself, which is remarkable, says Nicholas Jackson, managing director of the China Office of Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness and Innovations, which has committed up to $328 million to support development of the Clover candidate. Great. CCP-funded vaccine. But efficacy for 2 Chinese blockbusters produced by Sinopharm and the Sinovac biotech has been well below that of most vaccine develops in Western countries, and questions about the durability of their protection is growing. Yeah, they're referring to the previous Chinese vaccines basically being complete duds. Clover's vaccine could prove particularly valuable for the COVID-19 Vaccines Global Access COVAX facility, a nonprofit set up by CEPI, that's the Bill Gates thing, and partners to provide vaccines to low-income countries. COVAX, which has fallen far behind its projected deliveries, has an agreement to purchase up to 414 million doses from Clover. It goes on and on and on. There's a whole lot more, but I think the news here is that they are claiming, the interesting thing about this is they are specifically at least claiming to make this vaccine to protect against various variants, which is transferring the concept of a COVID vaccine very closely relating it to the flu vaccine industry. The flu vaccine industry, they generally will find variants, like 3 or 4 variants for that year, and they will make the vaccine against those 3 or 4 variants. And that's why you need a new flu vaccine every year. It's not because your previous flu vaccine stopped working. It's just that they need to inoculate you against more variants of the flu because the flu changes every year. And again, we've been talking about it for a year and a half now. That's exactly what's going to happen with COVID. You are going to need this yearly, there's not even a booster. It's a yearly vaccine because you need to vaccinate against more variants. And we spent the last year, coming up with new variants and reporting on new variants every single day. We've got new variants. So it's a distillation of the vaccine industry as immunity as a service.
Yeah.
That China is hoping to overtake the market in.
Yeah, the very last sentence of this article says, CEPI or CEPI is studying whether combining a protein vaccine with an mRNA or adenovirus shot might deliver a stronger immune punch than any of those vaccines alone. Quote, it would clearly make sense to think about this for Clover, Seville says. It may potentially be a good way to get good breadth of protection against variants as well. So you know how, excuse me, I need that mute button. You know, the whole concept of like, oh, don't mix the vaccines. And then some people were like, oh, we're totally mixing it. And then, you know, what's better, the one shot vaccine like Johnson & Johnson or the mRNA? Clover is like, we shall make the conglomerate jab.
Yeah.
We'll make the super beast.
There's a fun little thing from producer Farrell Soul. This is an excerpt from the literature called The Magical Properties of Clover. Energetically speaking, either or both can be used to restore... Oh, sorry, there's another one. Red clover blossom traditionally has been used as a blood purifier to treat breast cancer, menopausal symptoms, and skin problems. White clover blossom has been used to detoxify the system and realign the body with its natural state of health. Energetically speaking, either or both can be used to restore vibrant health to the body, mind, and spirit, to remind us of our most ideal state of holistic well-being. For temporary or long-standing health challenges, supplement your other healing endeavors by taking the flower essence or incorporating the blossom into a healing charm. Ooh, the magical properties of clover. So,
well, how about this? According to 4leafclover.com, a 5-leaf clover, which this clover vaccine claims it covers 5 variants. The 5-leaf clover is a mutation of the 4-leaf clover.
Ooh.
That does appear occasionally. The superstitions for the 5-leaf clover is extra good luck and attracting money. That makes sense for China.
That does make sense for a vaccine company, too.
Yeah. Since the 5-leaf and other multiple leaf colors are random mutations and affected by weather and growing conditions, any individual studies would probably be meaningless. Oh, okay.
So
thanks, Clover Online.
Their 5-variant clover vaccine, their 5-leafed clover, is to attract money to the pharmaceutical company.
There you
love
go.
it.
Yep.
Yeah. They see this. I know it's a little wacky for some people to understand, but you know, these big companies, they love their occult stuff. They use their magic all the time, and it works very well for them.
They do.
Okay. Well, shall we go into our first small break?
It's break time. Come on, take a break.
Okay, folks. Well, we've been talking about it for a while, and we're going to try it today. We're going to be splitting up the break into 2 different small breaks, so hopefully it's nice and reasonable. So we're going to start with our first break here and thank some producers, but don't go anywhere because after this break, we've got the politics section. We're going to be checking in with the Biden booster and, well, just a lot of stuff about Biden, and Nancy Pelosi's got a fun message for all of us. And then we'll be checking in with the Great Reset, of course. We got to keep tracking what the New World Order global plans are for the flat Earth. But first, we want to thank some producers. And that's right. I said producers, folks, because you may have noticed there's no advertisements, no affiliate codes. We're not selling any supplements, nothing like that. We are completely free from corporate money, which means we are free from corporate interests. You might notice no ads on the YouTube channel, nothing on the Twitch. That's right. We are completely independent. And that is all thanks to our producers. Now, we take this very seriously because there's lots of good podcasts out there, lots of good shows that they do use advertisements. You know, you got to keep the lights on. We totally understand that. But with both the physical history of advertising and the spiritual implications of advertising, we decided that it goes against pretty much everything we believe in. You know, advertising industry is all wrapped up in not only occult symbolism and sigils and chaos magic and things like that, which might sound kind of wacky to some people, but it's also wrapped up in vicious yet subtle psychological manipulation. In fact, studies have shown that those who think that they are immune to advertising, man, you got to get that cough button, buddy.
I know. It's hurting today.
You've been threatening to get the cough button for months and have not pulled the trigger yet. Anywho, the psychological pushes. The studies have shown that those who believe that they are immune to advertising are in fact the most susceptible to it, because it is the alleged ignoring of the advertisement that allows the subtle psychological effects to worm their way in to your mindset and your worldview there. And it's all about subtle pushes influencing you and how to spend your money, trying to make you think that you're not quite happy yet, but if only you spent a little bit of money on this product, that product, a service, a supplement or whatever, that you would finally gain that pinnacle of happiness provided by the commercial industries around the world. But we know better than that, folks, and so do our producers. That's why we do not take money to gain your trust and attention, bundle all that up, put it on a truck, and sell it to advertising companies who then turn around and sell it to their clients. Because remember, if you're being advertised to, you are not the customer. You are the product of the advertising industry. And we don't like to make you guys products. So in that case, that's why we're on the value for value model, which is very simple. We create value. We do it 3 times a week. We do our very best at it. And if you get any value out of what we do here on the show, it is your opportunity or your responsibility to take control of your own media future and ensure that independent media like Canary Cry News Talk can continue. And it feels good. Feels good to take control of your own media future and support a show like this. And it's the only reason we're able to keep doing what we're doing is when producers like you put value back into the system. There's a couple ways to do that. You can become a producer by heading over to patreon.com/CCNT. And let's thank some of our Patreon producers right now, Guns. What do you say?
Ready to go. Let's do it.
Wow, we both got some coughs today.
Something going on. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank a new Patreon producer, and that is producer Mario 798X.
Thank you, Mario.
Thanks very much.
798 years old.
That's right. Committing to keeping the show going for the next 798 years. Appreciate it, Mario. We have another producer, and that is producer Rob. Coming in to support the show.
Thank you, producer Rob.
Thank you very much, producer Rob. And that's it for Patreon. And here's the thing. A lot of people don't like Patreon. That's why we have CanaryCry.com/support.
CanaryCry.com/support.
That's right. CanaryCry.com/support is a great way to become a producer of the show. There's all sorts of good suggestions in amounts there. And remember, when it comes to value for value, put your own value on it. How much value have you gotten out of the show, whether it's entertainment or education, or you just don't need to worry about combing the news for the important stuff instead of getting caught up in the mind control of what they're trying to lead the narrative with. If we help you out with any of that, you get to put some value back in, put your own number on it, and there you go. Well, and on CanaryCryRadio.com/support, you can support the show with your cryptocurrency if you're a cool crypto kid, or you can join via PayPal, support the show on a monthly basis if you want to commit to keeping this show going, or if commitment's not your thing, you can make a one-time producership in any amount. Who's coming in over there, Gonzo?
Well, we want to thank all of the producers, knights, and dames who have come in to produce the show. Man. I thought it was gone, but it's still there. And we have a lot of people to thank today. Thank you for all the producers that came in with their treasure. This is the treasure break that we're going to try out here. And so we're going to thank some people here. The first person to thank today is an executive producer for episode 395, and that is Sir Igorius.
That's right. So our executive producer, let's hit him with that jingle.
Where'd you find this? Bankroll out the bankroll, I spent.
That's right. Sir Igorius, he's Knight of the Squatting Slavs over at the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames. And he comes in as an executive producer for this episode 395. And he sends a note here. He says, number 624 AMP. Is that numbers 624?
Yep, numbers, yeah.
Do you have that pulled up? Should we read that?
Here it is. It says, the Lord bless you and keep you, protect you, sustain you, and guard you. The Lord make his face shine upon you with favor and be gracious to you, surrounding you with love, kindness. And then it goes on here. The Lord lifts up his countenance upon you with divine approval and give you peace, a tranquil heart and life.
Amen. Thank you very much, Sir Igorius, executive producer for $3.95.
Thank you, Sir Igorius. And we have another executive producer today.
Yeah, this might be our first double executive producer show.
Yep, and that's Chester W.
Chester W. comes in with a note. He says, much love from the Transylvania Purchase. Whoops. He wants to be known as Waldo. Thank you very much, Waldo.
Oh, did we do that wrong?
Yeah, that's my bad.
Okay.
But thank you very much, executive producer Waldo.
Where'd you find this?
Where's Waldo? We found him.
We found him. He's in Transylvania Purchase.
Yep. All right. Thank you to our executive producers for this show. We have more people to thank, though. We have Jacob W. coming in.
Yeah, producer Jacob W. comes in with a note. Says, thank you both for staying strong and speaking truth, Jacob. And a quick reminder here, you'll notice we're not reading amounts for these producers because we always lean on the side of anonymity as much as we possibly can. So when you come in with a nice round number, that is a signal to us to not read the amount. If you'd like us to read your amount, put something fancy in there. An easy signal is to put 33 cents on the end or something like that. So for future producers and producers who want to come in again, just in case you want us to read your amount, that's how you do it. Thank you very much, Producer Jacob.
Thank you, Producer Jacob. Next up, we have Producer Cynthia Fern.
Producer Cynthia, she's back. Isn't Cynthia a dame?
I don't know. I have to check.
Okay. Producer Cynthia comes in and with a nice little note here that says for BASIL'S VR Glasses Fund. My gosh. Thank you so much. I've been fighting the scroll scourge, the scourge of the auto scroll today as well. And because of today's producers, I think we're just going to pull the trigger and upgrade the setup here. Thank you very much, Cynthia.
Thank you, Cynthia. I don't think she is yet, but I'm sure she's on her way. Next up, we have Producer Child of God.
That's right. Producer Child of God comes in with a note, says, Dear Canary Cry, thank you so much for all of the awesome content you guys put out. I've been listening and watching you guys for a while now. Please accept this generous donation of $40 for the production of episode 395 that I am giving using PayPal. Okay, very specific. Thank you very much. This will hopefully be the first of my donations. I would like my producer name to be Child of God. You got it, Child of God. May God continue to bless this awesome ministry from Child of God. Please play the I Am Waccine and the William Shatner Rocket Man jingle.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think about that, by the way?
That's a good
requesting
question.
A jingle that is meant for streakers.
Yeah, so of course, producers can request jingles, and we love doing that. The Rocket Man jingle is specifically reserved for a 15 episode streak, but let's give it to him. Vaccine.
Vaccine. Number one way.
Rocket Man. Burning out his fuse out here alone.
Yeah, we'll give it to him because I don't think we laid down the rules on that. But I think you're right. I think we should save the streak jingles for the streakers.
Yeah, but it's okay. At least it took the Child of God to bring us.
Well, that's how it works.
That's how it works.
With the interaction between the show and the producers, that's how we start figuring out what rules even need to be made. So thank you very much, Child of God. Appreciate it, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Yep. Thank you very much. Next up, we have... where am I? I'm losing my spot. Oh, there we go. Aaron J.
Aaron J is on a streak. Been producing for 16 episodes in a row. He came in twice, one for $29, and with a note that says, my Fortnite level continues. Now level 29. Good job, Aaron J. You're on a roll. Still have not gotten back into Fortnite. I need to work on that. But then he also came in with $2.99 and says, have you seen this video? He sent a video to, it looks like some sort of truther doctor. I've not seen it, but I'm going to see it now. Not now, but later. Have you seen this video, Gons?
I don't know. I'm trying to look into it right now.
Trying to pull it up right now?
Yeah.
Well, check it out. There's probably some good information in there. Thank you very much, producer Aaron J.
Thank you, producer Aaron J. The video, oh boy. Okay. I will address it later, maybe, if I can get clarity on that link.
Well, let's check it out. We'll see what's in there. We didn't have time before the show.
Next up, we have producer David S.
Producer David S. comes in with a note. I listen most every day. You two are genuine. Hugs to you both. Oh, thank you very much, producer David S.
Hey.
Yes, I like to think we are genuine for sure.
I would like to think that I like David giving hugs out. That's
yes, producer hugs.
Producer hugs. Yeah, we can use more of that. Thank you, David S. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Next up, we have Rosalie C.
Yeah, Rosalie, yeah, maybe. So one of those comes in with $20.20. New listener, first-time donor. In a past episode about the Jubilee of the Israelites in the 50th year, they let the land rest for a year. They rested from their labors, and anyone who had slaves let them go. They were freed of their debts. That's right. Thank you very much. First-time producer, Rosalie.
Thank you, Rosalie. Appreciate it. Good to see you.
I think we had a good number of first-time producers today.
Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah.
Next up, producer Gregory G.
Gregory G, thank you very much. I did not see a note from Gregory, but we're very thankful.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Ryan.
Oh, real quick, because the chat is mentioning the D-Mooch. We are, if you are a first-time producer, we don't want to throw around the D-Mooch, if people don't want it. But if it is your first time, and you want to be demooched, put that in your note, and we'll be happy to give it to you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, the next one was producer Ryan M.
Ryan M comes in with 1686. Hey, Basil and Gons, it's Morv from South Carolina. Whoopsie daisies. Thank you, Morv. Oops, sorry, the scroll struck again.
I can fix it if
it's
you need
more
me to.
From South Carolina. Started listening to you guys back in 2016 after my good friend, producer JC. Okay, so more of is connected to JC here. Discovered Age of Deceit, and my worldview blinders were removed. Keep up the great work. Love you guys. Psalm 16, 9 through 10. Thank you very much, producer Morv.
Thank you, Morv. I like that name, Morv.
Mm-hmm. Powerful.
We need more Morv.
Strong.
Next up, we have Giants Bane 16.
Yes, Giants Bane 16 is on a streak. 4 episodes in a row. Came in with 1679. And he sent a note to tell us he sent us another note to the Proton Mail. It was quite a long note. But it was a story of why 16 is on the end of his Giants Bane user handle there. We were correct. Giants Bane 16 is his Canary Cry community handle. And he had a story. I'm going to have to sum it up because it was a little long for sake of time. And he was kind of, let's see, he went through the majority of my teen years and young adult life believing that the number 13 was my lucky number. And so he was a big 13 guy, but then he had an event at his work that showed him that 13 was not the right number and that 16 was his number. And when I looked up the biblical meaning, this is in his note here, when I looked up the biblical meaning of the number 16, which means love and loving, and considering that my first name, well, I don't want to read his first name. It was like the Lord Jesus just put his arms around me, and like the perfect father that he is, told me he loved me and that he would always watch over me. And so 16 is his number now. Thank you very much, Giants Bane 16.
Thank you, Giants Bane. Yeah, I appreciate the explanation there.
It was a good story. I really like the story.
Very good. Yes. And we appreciate the testimonies and some of the explanations for the names. It's always welcome. All right.
I'm seeing in the chat there's a lot of South Carolinian worship.
Worship?
No, sorry. There was
Whoa.
I was reading somebody else's note while I was talking.
Worship those South Carolinians.
A lot of South Carolinian love. Sounds like there needs to be a South Carolina meetup. Sounds like there's a lot of South Carolina people. So somebody needs to get on that. Put on a South Carolina meetup.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that later.
This is protest the Gamecock. All right.
I don't know what that means, but we'll keep moving.
South Carolinians know what I mean.
I bet they do.
Next up, we have Scott K.
Scott K's on a streak. He's mega streaking. He's been supporting the show for 55 episodes in a row, and he comes in with $13.95. Thank you very much, Scott K.
Thank you, Scott K. Next up, we have Sir Casey, the Shield Knight.
Sir Casey, the Shield Knight, is also on a big old streak.
We're going streaking! Come on, everybody, we're going!
Woo! 64 episodes in a row. Sir Casey comes in with 11.11.
Thank you very much. Wow, 64.
Mm-hmm.
I just marvel at the number every time when we stop.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes, you do.
It just blows my mind. All right, next up, we have Vladimir S.
Vladimir comes in with 11.11, and the note that says, "It made me happy to see Alex G get demuched, but my work is not done. I must call out my good comrade Peter to become a producer."
Ooh.
That's right, calling out another mooch, Peter. So there you go, Peter. It's your time. That's your sign to become a producer of the show.
Yeah.
And yes, we were also happy to see Alex G came in, got demooched, but we need to keep the Vladimir demooch streak going. Peter, we're waiting, Peter.
All right. Thank you very much, Vladimir, and good luck to you, Peter.
Peter.
Called out. Next up, we have Gail M.
Gail M's on a streak.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule!
32 episodes in a row, comes in with a pocket full of sevens, and a note says, Philippians 2:2, fulfill ye my joy, that ye be like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord, of one mind. XXXXXO. Very cool. Thank you very much. And I'll take this opportunity to mention that this was quite an interesting confirmation, Gail, because I was just yesterday recording a new episode of Ravel, which is another show that I just started releasing, everybody. So if you haven't checked out the podcast Ravel, please go check it out. There's another podcast named Ravel. Mine is the one with the good logo with the white background. And check out that podcast if you like serious looks into scripture and theology and things like that. I do it with Dr. Christopher Ryan Gates. And yes, we just did a whole episode out of Philippians. So I thought that was very interesting.
Yes, very cool. A lot of stuff like that going on recently here.
Andrea in the chat says, where can we find it? You can find it on Spotify now. It's on Apple Podcasts. Just search for Ravel. Again, if you have a hard time finding mine, you can just put Basil in there as well. But you can find it on Apple Podcasts, and I just confirmed that it is now on Spotify as well.
Cool. Making the mainstream platforms there.
Doing it. I'm getting that 100 mil like Joe Rogan.
All right. Next up, we have producer JC.
JC is on a streak. JC has been supporting for a total of 18 episodes in a row, which means he's gone supernova.
This is Charlie, November Tango. You are approaching supernova. Repeat, you are approaching supernova.
That's right. JC has been comes in for a pocket full of sevens and a note. Got to keep the streak alive. Hope everyone has a blessed day. Thank you very much, JC.
Thank you, JC. Next up, we have Heather Russ.
Heather Russ. Back in the saddle. Thank you very much, Heather and Russ. They're on a streak, 9 episodes in a row.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule!
Which means Heather Russ is lit, fam.
Where'd you find this?
Hey, you lit now.
Hey.
A pocket full of sevens. Thank you very much, Heather Russ.
Thank you, Heather Russ. Next up, we have Daniela O.
Daniela O comes in with a pocket full of sevens. Says, hi, family. My husband and I just started marriage mediations. We'd love to help any Christian listeners with faith-based tools to bring healing to their marriage, a much-needed ministry. Email us at admin@raisingjacob.com. Thanks, Basil and Gons. Yeah, this is great. Of course, we're all very proud. We had our first Canary Cry marriage go through last week. And for any other marriages out there, if you need a little...
We had our first marriage, thus we have marriage counseling.
If you need some mediation, some marriage mediation from some Christians who are listeners to the show and producers now, email admin@raisingjacob.com, RAISING Jacob.com.
Perfect.
Thank you very much, Daniela O.
Thank you, Daniela O. Next up, we have Juan A.
Juan A is on a streak. Comes in with 22 episodes in a row. Thank you, Juan A. Comes in with a pocket full of fours. And a note, I sent you guys a song. It's just simple chord progression, but all my babies and wife and 2 boys were in the background. I pushed record and everything after happened just so perfectly. I want to share out our little moment with y'all. You have that loaded up?
I didn't know
why don't you take a second and load that up?
I noticed it come in here. Oh, you know what? I was having a hard time downloading this because it is a .amr file.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a weird file.
And I don't know that it'll play.
I don't even know how you get an AMR file.
Yeah.
Yes, and just to explain a little bit of the tech that Gons is talking to here to stall to give him some time to figure it out, our streaming tools only allow us to play certain kinds of files, usually MP3s, MP4s, WAV files, things like that. AMR file might not be the format that we're able to load up into the system.
Oh, looks like it works. Here we go.
But
you ready?
Gons figured it out. Yeah, we'll do a little. We'll just do a little bit of the song. It's a full song, but we'll get into where you can start hearing his kids and stuff in the background. It's very sweet.
Got like a
vibes,
chill,
man.
Yeah,
it's good vibes. I like it. It's kind of like a ambient chill. What?
Like the lo-fi chill step stuff.
Yeah. Chill hop. Yeah.
Chill hop. Yeah, whatever.
I like it. Yeah, you just got to put some like a little beat behind that. Yeah. You could study that all night long. Thank you very much, Juan A. And yes, thank you for sharing that very sweet moment with us.
Yeah, appreciate it. Okay, next up we have Sir Salmon's Night of the Fishes.
That's right, he's back, folks. He's on a streak. 9 episodes in a row. It comes in with, that means Sir Salmon's is lit.
Where'd you find this? Hey, you lit now.
Comes in with 438 and a note. Happy episode 395. And Wednesday, my dudes. Basil, I think your VR headset is actually a face hugger from the Alien franchise with the way it latched onto your face last episode. Just a heads up. Anywho, sending many blessings from the fishes. I think you're right, Sir Salmons. Yes, it is a digital face hugger. I'm going to have to assume that 438 is 395 plus fees. So show number producership plus fees. I'm just assuming.
That's a lot of fees. Starting to get up there.
It does seem like a lot of fees, doesn't it? It's 40 cents. 40 cents to send $4. I mean, that's like an 8% fee, so it makes sense. That's the kind of things they do over at PayPal.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sir Salmons. Next up, we have Brant W.
Brant W is on a streak. 19 episodes in a row. Brant W comes in with 374, which is a pocket full of threes plus fees for she's. Thanks, Brant. And his note says, "Who is Brant T? Sounds like a real woke jamoke normie. Can I get the normies jingle ×3 in honor of these threes plus fees? Love to the whole Canarium and No Agendaverse. IDM penguin emojis. Faux she's. Brant T is not real." You got those jingles for him?
I don't know which normie one. Do we have like a specific...
We have one that goes, normies. Normies!
That's not the one.
That's not the one. I've never heard that one before. Normies.
Look at that one. I think it's supposed to be part of that one.
You've got a lot of normies jingles.
Those are the two ones that pulled up. So I don't know if... I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, it's been a while since we played it.
Yeah.
Stay away from normies.
Stay away from normies?
Yeah, do it 3 times.
Stay away from normies. Stay away from normies.
There you go. Stay away from normies. Normies. 3 times. And that was a reference to the last producership where we had Brant W's name wrong. It was Brant T for some reason, and we still don't know why. Thank you very much, Brant W.
Thank you. Next up, we have Veronica D.
Veronica D is on a streak.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule! 30 episodes in a row and a pocket full of threes. Thank you very much, Veronica D.
Thank you, Veronica D. Next up, we have Pizza Rat.
Pizza Rat comes in with a pocket full of threes and a note. Says, beep, beep, Ji Yang at Dodie the Coyote. So more secret messages being passed between producers. Beep, beep, Ji Yang.
I like how we've been reduced to, Morse code.
We're a messaging app is what we are.
Yeah, code app. Encryption code over the podcast airwaves app. All right, thank you, Pizza Rat. Next up, we have Aaron J.
Aaron J is on a streak. Sorry. Yep, I combined his stuff from earlier.
So yeah,
I forgot to delete it.
Thank you, Aaron J. from earlier. But unless there's another Aaron.
Oh, don't even start.
Next up, Shagan.
Shagan is back. That's Shane and Reagan. Comes in with 260. Let me double check. I don't think Shagan is on a streak, but let me just double check. Nope. Thank you very much, Shagan, for the 260. And they send a note. We're spreading out our weekly donation to 3 a week. Didn't get Mondays in time. So this is for Monday and Wednesday. Thank you both. God bless. Shane and Reagan Hulsey. Thank you very much, Shane and Reagan.
Thank you, Shagan. Next up, we have Runk Smash.
Runk Smash is on a streak. Runk Smash came in with 2 separate producerships, and it's 1 penny per character of the following 2 microfictions. Basil and NFG make a hasty escape through the time stream and pop out to see a father stopping his son from sniffing a girl's hair. Joey, I've told you too many times, you've got to give people space, he says as he grabs a switch. Back in 2024, our heroes burst forth into a field of oil and blood. I doubt this is going to be better, says NFG as a rumble metal cleats approaches. Basil tries donning his hat, but is struck by a football, shattering into 5 separate robot arms. Oh my gosh, the time traveling duo is at it again. First we are visiting the childhood of Joe Biden. Yeah. And then we popped into a football game in 2024.
And Flippy arms coming after us.
Yes, well, remember, Basil is just a collection of Flippy arms in this microfiction.
That's right. You got to keep up with all the variations.
I know, you got to follow. Actually, we got a different email from Runk Smash. Let me double check. Microfiction. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Sorry, make some noise, Guns, while I just check this real quick.
Think minority. Come on, man. Keep yapping, man.
I have a lot of Biden clips.
This is not about freedom or personal choice.
Okay, this is interesting. Yeah, so we mentioned the microfiction book, And he mentions to us he is keeping a repository.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I should have said something.
And yeah, his plan is to continue for quite a while and then putting it all together. Well, good. Do that. And yes, if we want to do it sooner, we can. But no, I think whatever your plan is, Runk Smash, let's do your plan.
Go at your pace, Runk Smash. It's all you, buddy.
Yes.
All right. Last producer for their treasure is producer Ciara.
There she is. And Ciara's on a streak.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Women rule!
And she hit the 27 episodes in a row mark, which is the 3-cubed triple threat.
Firmament Buster.
I know we have still not shattered that highest and hardest glass ceiling, but someday someone will.
Gotta get some trap music behind that.
I know.
All right, I'm going to change that in our notes right now so I don't make that mistake again. Firmament Buster. There you go, Ciara. You are officially a Firmament Buster. And let me press save.
She's living out Hillary's dream.
Yes,
she shattered through the glass ceiling.
And she sends a note, and God bless them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let birds multiply on the earth. Genesis 1:22 ESV. Speaking of being fruitful and multiplying, check out the dating app for truthers. Also, hope you guys got the clips I sent. Not sure if they worked. Did we get clips from Ciara?
I think Ciara was one of the people who sent us the video clips of the show when we made a call out.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Ciara. Thank you, you little rascal. And I think that's it. Let me just double check. I think that's it for the producers, Gons.
Okay, very good. Thank you for all the producers that came in with their treasure. We will be thanking the people who come in with their time and talent in the next break. So
that's
we're trying something different here.
Super short, fun little producer break, folks, and it's time to wake up, get back to the show.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
It's Latin for many. Tick. Now suck your blood. Now politics.
Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs.
So, I don't know if you saw this, Basil, but there are some photos of Biden's booster news conference where it is clearly a stage. Now, I thought it might have been fake. I was like, is this real?
It looked fake. It looked really fake. And when we say that, we're talking about the background. You know, it looked like he was in some sort of house next to a flag. And it just looked too... Because the White House is an old building and is kind of crummy. I mean, anybody who's been to the White House will tell you it's old, it's kind of smelly, it's kind of crummy. And in the video of him getting his booster shot, the window, it looks fake outside. None of the trees are moving, and the quote unquote building that they're in looks too new and too nice. And images came out, of course, of a wider shot of the whole setup, which is literally a sound stage where they built a set and gave him his booster shot on a literal TV set, which is like, why? Why
I
do
know,
this?
why?
You're already, all the crazy conspiracy theorists are already saying that your booster shot is fake. Why give any ammo by setting up a fake stage unless you're teasing us?
That, or if I was a stage designer, I'd say, look what I can do for you guys. Listen, we just need a $10,000 deposit. You know, give us $50K for the whole job. We'll make it look like you're right in the White House there.
Yes, some contractors getting paid for this for sure.
Yeah, and there's multiple shots of it. There are stage lights above. Clearly,
it's a TV set.
It's a TV set. Clearly,
they built a TV set to give him his booster shot. Which again, I simply ask the question: why? What does that add to anything besides making it obvious that it's all a show and we shouldn't be taking it seriously? I just don't get it.
Is Biden even in DC? You got a question, like,
probably not,
because there's a couple more here photos. People were sharing all the photos from in the studio there from the seats, And even his address, like the podium, is all set up in the same spot. And I'm wondering, how many press conferences has he done where he's not even in D.C.?
Totally. I don't think he's in the White House. You look at the room around the set, it does not look like a White House building. So yeah, I have no idea where this is going on. They built a literal TV set for some reason, for no reason, to lie to the country about where he is. And do you have images of his arm? People are pointing out the hairy arm like we did.
I don't have one. I can probably find one.
Doesn't matter. It's people are putting side by side shots of him getting his first shot and now getting his booster shot. And
did he grow?
They shaved his arm for the first shot, and they didn't shave his arm for the second shot.
I can see that as
not the same guy.
Not the same guy, or those jab. What are they turning him into Bigfoot?
It's
Joe's transformation right in front of our eyes here. I know there's been a lot of hybrid propaganda going on, Netflix and all that.
It's true. He's turning into a wolf man.
Half wolf.
Ciara did point something out good in the chat here, which is, Trump got so much flack for not being at the White House very often.
Yeah.
He's at Mar-a-Lago, he's all over the place, and he got so much flack for not being at the White House. And the Biden administration was so concerned about this, they built a fake White House wherever he is to give the impression he's there when he gets his booster shot. I don't know. It's just weird, man.
Yeah, well, not surprising, though. The whole thing is, the whole world's a stage, and in this case, literally.
Yep.
All right, so got a couple things to compare here between a leftist take on things against more of a right-wing type of thing.
Okay.
So this is San Francisco Gate headline. Biden digs in with fellow Dems seeking deal on $3.5 trillion plan. So Biden's digging in. Okay. Says here, pressure mounting, but with signs of progress. President Joe Biden is hunkering down, sure he is, at the White House. Really? I don't know about that. To try to strike a deal and win over 2 holdout Democratic senators whose support is needed for his potentially historic $3.5 trillion government overhaul. Which, by the way, you remember how Biden's whole thing was like, it's already paid for. It's free. It's all paid for.
Yeah.
Well, Janet Yellen was being asked the same thing in the Senate, I think yesterday, or maybe the day before. I think it was yesterday. Mm-hmm. And she said the same thing. Janet Yellen of the Fed. She's like,
it's all paid for.
It's all paid for. It's like, what are you people? Are you nuts? Anyway.
Yeah. No, they're not nuts. They're colluding. It's a literal conspiracy is what it is.
It's out of control. The way they want to tax people's unrealized capital gains. It's out of control. Anyway, says here, with Republicans solidly opposed and no Democrat votes to spare, Biden canceled a Wednesday trip to Chicago that was to focus on COVID-19 vaccinations so he could dig in for another day of intense negotiations with lawmakers ahead of crucial votes.
It's not going to go through.
Nope.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. The stakes are as high as ever as Biden and his party try to accomplish a giant legislative lift, promising a vast rewrite of the nation's balance sheet and oh-so-slim majority in Congress. His idea is to essentially raise taxes on corporations and the wealthy and use that money to expand government health, education, and other programs.
Notice how they don't mention the $600 reporting that they're making all the banks do. So anybody who gets $600 that go into their PayPal account, it gets directly reported to the government.
To the IRS. The IRS now has legal, or it will if this bill passes, to keep track of your every dollar spent. Which is setting everything up for the CBDCs. His idea is, I already read that. In one sign of trouble ahead, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi suggested Wednesday that she might delay an expected vote Thursday on a related $1 trillion public works measure that centrist senators want, but that progressives are threatening to defeat unless there's movement on Biden's broader package. It's a pressure point on the senators and other centrist lawmakers to strike an agreement with Biden. Quote, "We take it one step at a time," said Pelosi to reporters at the Capitol. "I wanted to pass," Pelosi said, of the $1 trillion infrastructure bill. "So what we wanted to do is to pass tomorrow, and anything that strengthens the hand of the speaker helps us." At the same time, Congress is Courting a more immediate crisis, Republicans refuse to approve routine legislation to keep the government funded past Thursday's fiscal year end and raise the nation's debt limit to avoid a dangerous default on borrowing.
Dangerous
default on borrowing.
Please.
You know what's going to happen? It's not going to go through. They can't allow it to default. You know, they're
not going to default.
I know they're not going to allow it to default. I'm saying that's what I'm saying. They're gonna
money printer go.
They're just going to be forced to print more money, unless they want the economy to default.
And don't let them talk you into this fear-mongering idea that a government shutdown is imminent and it's so spooky. They shut down the government. Every presidency has a government shutdown. It's this fake theater that every time they need a reconciliation bill and the debt limit raised and all this stuff, they always argue about it. They shut down the government to try to scare. They use it for political reasons. So just don't buy it, folks. It's going to do it. There's a very good chance that there's going to be a government shutdown in the coming month or whenever this comes up. But just don't worry about it. Don't let your amygdala swell because of it.
Right. Yeah, I don't think we need to read the rest of it. It just goes into some of the numbers and the politics involved. I think the main point.
The left is, sorry to interrupt your main point there, but they're characterizing it as a heroic Biden and a heroic Pelosi digging into the trenches and fighting the good fight for this crazy spending bill.
Yep. So that's what the left-leaning outlets lead with. It's Biden digs in with fellow Dems.
Well, not to be left out of the fun, we have the sort of the conservative take here from MSN.com.
That's Market Watch.
Yeah, mirrored from Market Watch.
Which is Associated Press.
Yeah. Which the headline reads, Biden cancels vaccination-focused Chicago trip to hunker down with congressional Democrats to avert shutdown, lift debt ceiling, move infrastructure, and budget bills. Amid both mounting pressure and signs of progress, President Joe Biden will hunker down at the White House to try and strike a deal and win over 2 holdout Democratic senators whose support is needed for his potentially historic $3.5 trillion government overhaul. With Republicans solidly opposed and no Democrats' votes to spare, Biden canceled a Wednesday trip to Chicago that was focused on COVID-19 vaccinations so he could dig in for another day of intense negotiations with lawmakers ahead of crucial votes. The stakes are high as ever as Biden and his party try to accomplish a giant legislative lift, promising a vast rewrite of the nation's balance sheet with an ever so slim majority.
Sorry, is this the same article?
Is it?
Almost. I mean, it's not like word for word, but it's very close. I'm realizing now that it wasn't as right wing as I thought. Maybe I put in the wrong link in there, but I don't know. I thought it was supposed to be kind of a look at the what the different media outlets lead with. You know, whereas the San Francisco Gate never mentioned that he canceled the trip to Chicago. At least this Market Watch / Associated Press led with it, but also now that I'm realizing it wasn't calling that out. It was more like, it's so important, this infrastructure bill, that he's canceling stuff.
Yeah, this is not very conservative leaning either, because it does later on say, so it has a quote from Mitch McConnell that says, of course the debt ceiling has to be raised, which of course it does. It's just used as a bargaining chip forever. They're not going to not raise the debt ceiling. But it says, as if that wasn't enough, Biden's focus is gaining traction at the time of Congress courts a crisis. Republicans refuse to approve routine legislation to keep the government funded past Thursday's end of fiscal year.
That's routine to completely rewrite our tax and
the nation's debt limit to avoid a dangerous default on borrowing. Oh, please.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same talking point.
I think this was a little whoopsie daisies here. More votes are expected Wednesday and likely to release.
Not a surprise. The majority of news outlets are presenting the Democrat-led left view. Of course, we are very much
evil Republicans threatening to shut down the government.
Yeah, and we always call out the right-left paradigm here, so it's not that we're taking one side or the other. Although the current time that we live now, it appears the left Democrat Party is much more in bed with mainstream media and all their talking points. And so, yes, it tends to be that we call that side of the aisle out more, but it's not to say that, both aisles do it. I was trying to point to that, but I guess I failed.
I'm curious about, again, the sort of fringy side of my brain. When they shut down the government, they do this at least once per presidency.
Yeah.
Basically all government workers, they don't go to work except for like the postal service, and sometimes even they don't go to work. And so you've got empty government buildings across the country, of federal buildings. And it just makes me think, like, what a perfect time for some Watergate style shenanigans.
Oh,
like, if somebody wants something done or needs some records to disappear, needs to bypass some bureaucracy or something, you just shut down the government for a second. Then you get the A-team to break in or do some cyber shenanigans or something, because nobody is there to
we were hacked because the government was shut down.
Oh, totally. Great Reset connected for sure.
And then people are like, "How? Well, that doesn't make any sense. How?"
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
With that, I think we should check in with Nancy Pelosi, because a lot of this has to do with her.
Okay. Well, here's Nancy talking about the Build Back Better.
Keep government open. We have to do those imminently, more imminently even, to address the full Obama agenda of building back better.
Obama agenda to build back better?
Is the Obama agenda for building back better? Well, guns, certainly we got to give her a break. She's an old woman and she's fighting. She's in the fight for her life. She's in the trenches, and maybe she just misspoke. Obama, Biden, they both have B's in them, and build back better. It's a B party.
A lot of B party.
Which, it would be easier to give her a pass if we didn't have this other clip
of former President Obama.
I used to say, you know what? If I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats, looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony. I'd be fine with that.
He was talking about,
this needed a little setup. He was being asked on the Colbert show if he would run for a third term. If it was allowed, could he run for a third term? And that was his answer, which is, no, well, I wouldn't be the guy, but I would be the puppet master for the guy. I would be happy to be the puppet master, have a secret shadow president third term, if I could just stay in my sweats and read all the things and speak through a puppet.
Tell someone what to do.
And, Biden, of course, being Obama's vice president, has been criticized for basically just furthering an Obama agenda and not having an agenda of his own. And so it's a little weird. Sounds like Nancy may have made a little whoopsie daisies. Sounds, just putting the clips together, it does sound like Obama may have got his wish for a third shadow presidency term and control Biden and get this new Build Back Better idea across. Because it really does, like, when you think of, like, okay, a puppet pushing Build Back Better for, somebody else, Biden fits how you would describe that, which means he can read the Build Back Better script. He can say a couple of taglines, but you start asking him any specifics, or you start asking him any questions, and he needs to go off book and actually describe.
Get out of Joe, get out of there. Joe.
He can't handle it. And that could be a reason why, he's not allowed to ask questions, because he doesn't have answers, because Build Back Better is an Obama thing that he's just sort of puppeting from the podium.
Well, yeah, he's got the earpiece. Every time Joe stops and, trails off, it's Obama in his ear,
totally.
Joe.
Yeah.
Joe, you
That's when
need to stop the conversation, Joe.
When it looks like his brain is fritzing and he just pauses for like a half a minute during his speech, which he does often, that's when Obama is trying to talk in his ear.
I love the visual of like Biden up there stumbling along, and Obama in his sweats, in his basement in front of a computer, like some crazy Batman computer thing with all the surveillance of the world, and he's telling Joe to get off the podium.
Yeah,
it's just it's funny.
How's that third term working out, Obama?
Just take the jab. Take the booster, Joe.
It's full on conspiracy theory, but it answers a lot of questions about Biden and his inability to speak about Build Back.
Anything about Build Back Better.
His little brain freezes, his inability to answer questions. Yeah, it's because he doesn't know. He's just taking his orders.
And who's controlling Obama?
Dun dun dun. Roseanne Barr.
How dare you? How dare
doesn't
you?
Even make sense.
No, that doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't even make any sense.
Well, whoever it is, they're probably behind the Great Reset.
We need a Great Reset.
This first article we have here is from the Economic Times, from India. And the headline here, COVID squeezed funds for SDGs Agenda 2030, that's Sustainable Development Goals. Agenda 2030 need to ensure continued funding. T.S. Tirumurti. The COVID pandemic has squeezed funds for achieving Agenda 2030 under the Sustainable Development Goals, and the challenge is not to lose the momentum by ensuring continued funding, top diplomat T.S. Tirumurti said on Tuesday. Tirumurti, I like this title, India's permanent representative to the United Nations. He's permanent.
That is weird.
I am the permanent representative. But what if something happens to you?
Title or
I don't know, but it could be a translation issue here. I don't know, but it is funny. What if you die? I will be in the AI form. I will be an NFT. I shall continue.
NFT mind.
Said the pandemic has undoubtedly disrupted decades of developmental progress on many fronts, pushing billions into poverty. This has caused the most dangerous humanitarian and economic crisis since World War II, especially for the more vulnerable countries. He said, quote, the pandemic has effectively squeezed the funds available to achieve Agenda 2030 in this decade of action and diverted them for a more pressing humanitarian requirements. Tirumurti said while addressing the SDG Summit 2021 virtually. However, this shortfall has not been made up by any other source, he noted. Quote, the challenge is therefore not to lose towards the momentum of Agenda 2030 that seeks to attain sustainable development goals. We need to ensure continued funding from multiple sources and bring in digital innovations and ESG. Environmental, social, and governance to incentivize multiple stakeholders towards that same goal, Tirumurti observed. I'm sure he made that observation with a gun to his head. It's a metaphorical gun, folks. When discussions of SDGs took place and they were finalized, an important principle was kept in mind. It was to preserve the balance between the environmental, social, and economic pillars. Subsequently, when the SDGs were discussed in the context of pathways to achieve them, there was a need to be conscious about maintaining this balance and not tilt excessively toward the environment or the economic side, he said. Quote, when the world is reeling under the pandemic, we need to recover better by focusing on all three pillars and not just on, I lost my spot.
Uh-oh.
And oh my!
Did you have an auto scroll problem?
I had an auto zoom thing kind of mess up my spot. I was reading.
That's even worse.
I know, like zoomed in. I'm like, no, and then I pulled out. Better focusing on all three pillars, not just on one in exclusion to the other. Otherwise, it will be self-defeating. Tirumurti said. He asserted that India is walking the talk on SDGs and has set an example about ways to localize them. for the successful implementation of the Agenda 2030, especially in a country like India with a population of 1.3 billion. A holistic, coherent, and integrated approach at the subnational, national, and regional level is imperative, Tamurti said. So there you go. Tamurti, the permanent representative to the UN for India, says that they need more money to continue in the direction of the 2030 agendas, and to do so, they need to implement ESG. How convenient.
Yeah, weird how ESG is more profitable and will bring more money.
Yeah.
The further regulation of the what is the ESG? What's the first one? Environmental, social justice, and governance.
I call it
the New World Order, Great Reset standards. More regulation will bring you more money, apparently.
Yeah, the ESG, I call it the evil satanic governance. ESG.
Yes, we know you do. Yeah. This is why you're Alex Jones.
It's just a metaphor. I don't know why people haven't picked that up yet. I'm waiting for somebody to pick up the evil satanic governance of the ESG. It'll happen. Somebody will do it, and I can celebrate.
Well, for another little update regarding, similar things here, we've got this from china.org.cn. We've got it archived here.
Yeah, I got it. I archived it so that the producers who receive this link aren't getting a direct link to the Chinese government giving away your IP. Mm-hmm. Just another layer there.
In the headline here, China moving toward 2030 SDGs report. China is moving toward the goals of the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development with significantly improved performance after 2015, according to a newly released report. Oh, suddenly China is doing such a good job complying with the UN. I didn't know that concentration camps and stuff like that was part of the 2030 agenda. Oh, wait, actually we did. That's exactly what's in there. The report, Big Earth Data in Support of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, was released during the Sustainable Development Forum 2021. Guo Huangdong is the director of the International Research Center of Big Data for Sustainable Development Goals and an academician of the Chinese Academy of Sciences. He said that China is moving toward the 2030 SDGs with greatly improved indicators included in the evaluation, especially after 2015. The report conducted in-depth research, monitoring, and evaluation of 18 aspects under 6 of the UN SDGs: zero hunger, water and sanitation, sustainable cities and communities, climate action, life on land, and life below water. I love how China did such a great job with their sustainable cities, even though part of this Evergrande collapse they're experiencing now is, they would build entire cities all at once. Yeah. And Evergrande had the contract for this. So their big real estate giant would find a piece of land. They would build an entire city, unpopulated, and then move, hundreds of thousands of people in on day one to occupy the city. Problem with Evergrande, though, they built a bunch of these cities, couldn't move anybody in, and there's whole videos.
Ghost cities.
Yes, there's ghost cities. That's yes. There's this ghost city phenomenon starting in about 2015, actually. Yeah. And then they started demolishing these ghost cities. Yeah. They just built a city and then demolished it, and nobody lived there or moved in. And you can see the videos of them demolishing entire cities of skyscrapers all at once. And it's just incredible. So that's them doing such a great job with their sustainable cities. According to the report, the natural carbon sink capacity in China and the global ecosystem showed a significant increase in the past 10 years. From 2015 to 2020, area under mangroves in China has seen a net growth of 16%. The unique plants are recognized as one of the richest carbon storage systems. The first edition so they're doing a great job growing trees. The first edition of the report was issued in September 2019 by the Chinese delegation to the 74th session of the UN General Assembly, focusing on the use of big Earth data to help accomplish the SDGs as laid out in the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The Sustainable Development Forum 2021 was held online, blah, blah, blah. So there you go. According to China, they are like the best at accomplishing the Agenda 2030, which is an extension of Agenda 2021, where, the New World Order gets to take complete control, create a utopia for humans, and put brain chips in everybody to make them perfect little robots.
Well, I think it's interesting to point out that despite a lot of the narrative here at home in the U.S. about anti-China this and China trying to take over that and everything else, which, objectively, yes, China has infiltrated quite a bit of U.S. infrastructure in the last, couple decades at least, even more. Mm-hmm. Buying up property, going into our education system, it's all true. But notice how everybody is moving in the same direction when it comes to the 2030 UN Sustainable Development Agenda. You got India moving in that direction, China moving in that direction. The U.S., our version of this is the Build Back Better. That's what it is. It's packaged for the Americas. It's the Obama agenda, as Pelosi says. Yeah. But it goes to show that there is no true right-left. There is no party. It's all one party kind of thing.
Right.
If that, that hopefully makes sense.
You're talking about globally.
Yeah, just worldwide.
Yeah, when you extend it out across the world, there is no right, left. All the elites are on the same path to this Agenda 2030 thing, the New World Order. And the left-right paradigm in the U.S. and locally across the world it's a control mechanism.
Yep. So, I just wanted to point that out because a couple of those stories were, literally, it was like India trying to move towards UN 2030 and China moving towards UN
and
2030.
Biden's Build Back Better world just being like the American branding for Agenda 2030.
Right. All right.
Weird. I got logged out of the chat for some reason. Get me back in here. That's annoying.
Let's quick a take break.
Let's quick a take break.
It's break time. Come on, take a break.
All right,
hey, folks. Yeah, why don't you do something? Oh, wait.
Why don't you do something over there?
Wait, you said you had some sort of.
I do.
Okay. That's for right now.
Yeah, it's for right now.
Okay.
So I have I wrote out some notes here. I have a little rant about the producership and why we do it and everything else.
Great.
And I wanted to address this idea of producing the show and having the show and everything else in the context of Bible prophecy, Revelation 13, the image of the beast and the mark of the beast, because I was thinking about it. And lots of brands out there. There's a ton of brands out there, right? They all use logos. Mm-hmm. And if you really think about the mark of the beast, the word actually means branding. So it is literally, you can talk about it as, hey, you're going to have the logo of the beast. It says number and the number of the name.
And you're talking about in like the original
the Greek
language, the Greek. Yes, it can also mean. Yeah, what we think of now as branding.
Right.
An identification marker.
Identification, tying yourself to an individual or group. An identifier.
Shows ownership, identity, things like that.
And one of the big points that I always point out, and we try to point out on the show, is that the worship of the image is really what is at the center of the issuing of the mark of the beast. It's not so much, hey, the mark happens and then everything else. It's more like, no, the mark happens because it is issued to the people that are all worshiping the beast.
Often ignored biblical part of the mark of the beast.
Yes. So, if you think about anything out there right now, and I use the example of going to Target. Okay, if you go to Target now, if you go to like the men's t-shirt section, it's all the brands and franchises that I grew up liking. I see some like Star Wars stuff or Star Trek or whatever. It's all the pop culture stuff now that was like kind of I don't know, some of it independent or rebellious, but they all got bought up, because they became popular, and now they're on T-shirts at Target. You know what I mean? And you have these kids wearing these T-shirts of Star Wars or some band or whatever that they probably never even heard of, just because they're selling the T-shirts at Target. Not realizing that when you do that, you're representing a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate corporation. A franchise that owns these characters and these images, and you're just projecting it. You're propagating it. And so I think, thinking about it in terms of the mark of the beast, I think we have to realize that, that's what it's going to be. The people that worship it are going to be the ones that are going to take the image or take the mark, because they are in that ecosystem. They're there to represent the beast. And ultimately, there's going to be this totalitarian aspect of you can't buy or sell without it, but that's only an after effect of everything. It's not going to be the forefront of it. And I bring it up because, there are some people in the past, this isn't recent, but somebody brought to my attention how, hey, aren't you guys doing the same thing? You guys have a logo, you guys have like your brand. If you're having
this, I love this. This is this happens all the time in so many different aspects. Like, well, you're doing it, so let Satan do it, and let me take the mark of the beast. Like if you have an identifying marker, then let me take them. It's just like a weird argument. Like, what is the point of what you're trying? What's the end game of this?
I would love everybody to have a Canary Cry News Talk T-shirt that they're walking around with, and I understand that that's part of it, of propagating the message. But it really comes down to what is the main message that we're sending here. And first off, we're not asking anybody to put the Canary Cry logo on their right hand or forehead, and certainly not to participate in any economy that we have established. So there's that part of it. And
yet.
Stamping that's top of show. That laughter is good. Okay. And so that's one aspect of it. But I think it's important to point out that the whole point of this show, believe it or not, is not to break down the news. Yes, it's what we do. It is what we do. I think you agree with him, Basil. It is what we do here. But it's not really like the why we exist, like that. It's a major part of it, but we exist to point people to Jesus Christ. That's the whole point. We say it at the top of the show, right? And the message of hope and everything else. And it's why we can laugh so much at what's going on, because, once you start realizing what's happening, you just realize that the world is just kind of mocking God, and you're not going to beat God, but like, that's kind of what they think they're doing. They're like, we are the gods. It's cute, right? Yeah, you start kind of realizing the humor in it. So the point I'm trying to make is that, the corporations, the beast system, the man of sin, they're all going to encourage people to bear the logo, the beast logo, basically. But in reality, what they're seeking is worship. And when you become a producer of this show, we're not asking you to worship us. That's not the point.
It's a lot of pressure. Please don't.
Please don't. Yeah, I don't. Yes, don't do that. Two things. One, we're asking you to produce the show as a way to help the entire Canary Cry community to grow and to spread the message of Jesus Christ. And so it's more of that. It's not so much that we benefit from it. We do, we are blessed by all the producerships, but it's a bigger mission. And so that's important, an important distinction between what the beast system offers. And secondly, as a producer, you own part of the show. You as a creator, whether with your time and treasure or your talent, you're participating in it. This is your show. It's not just our show, me and you, Basil. This is everybody who is producing the show. And
I think there's some subtlety around the word own that the SEC might be interested in knowing. So not own like a stock or something like that.
Right.
But the show isn't the show without the producers.
Right. And I mean, you can put on your CV that you have produced episodes, however many, of Canary Cry News Talk. So,
yeah.
But, the beast, hive mind, what they offer is ultimately going to lead to destruction. And We don't. But the big thing is we don't demand your loyalty. We don't demand your subscriptions. Although we like people that subscribe. It's not something that we demand. You can come and go freely if you want to produce. We had producers come in today with their treasure that haven't come in a few months. We have our streakers, but it's open ended. There's no like, oh, you're here, we must keep you forever, and you are locked in. It's right. You come and go freely, and I think that's a little different from a lot of the corporate structures. Are you starting to become skeptical of me ranting about this?
No, I'm just following.
Okay.
I'm just following. Yeah. Okay. We're not trapping you. That's good. It's good to make this explicit. We're not here to, lock you in a little cage.
Right.
Keep you around.
Right. So in many ways, when you become a producer of Canary Cry News Talk, you are participating in a more decentralized economy because, again, it's not so much us. We're distributing the responsibility, of the show, and ultimately, it's to spread the gospel message of Jesus Christ. So, just want people that aren't producers yet to come join in the party, and it's the party that you can come and go.
The decentralization is a big part of it. Yeah. It's and if you think about the advertising industry, it centralizes the ability to keep the show going. You suddenly have an advertiser or a couple of advertisers who at any moment could say, no, we're not giving you any more money because you talked about the vaccine, and then boom, now there's no budget to keep the show going. Yep. When it's decentralized to a sort of amorphous group of people choosing to keep the show going, there's not a single producer who can bail that would put the show at risk. Just a quick question and answer here. Somebody in the YouTube chat asks if they can support the show without mention on air. And yes, if you produce the show, come in through the PayPal or whatever, just put in your note. You can put a little note in with your producership or send us an email and just say, don't mention me, and then we won't mention you. Yeah, we're not here to mention anybody who doesn't want to be mentioned, but do make sure to put it in the note because that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, and we try to keep you anonymous either way, to some level, by not doxing people.
But this break is not about those producers. This break is about producers from all over the world who contribute to the show creatively, and it's a very valuable part of the show. So tune in, look at your screen, let's check it out.
Yeah, so we wanted to thank, we already thanked the people coming in with their treasure, so we want to thank people coming in with their time and talent to produce the show, and that includes timestamps. Jade Bouncerson did the timestamps for episode 394. Thank you very much for that. And we accept jingles as part of the producerships. And, oh, man. Here we go. Jingles.
Okay.
You ready? Oh, you know what? Did we ever get the Wednesday jingle?
No, I don't think it ever came in.
All right.
We have a new jingle.
We have 2 new jingles to share, and the first one comes from Jack V. And Jack V sent us the Cuomo Primetime jingle, and here's how it goes.
It's Cuomo Primetime. I do it with everyone.
Oh, yeah. Jeez Louise.
Oh, I like that you're mixed in there with it, just Basil and Cuomo is a good concoction of jingle.
When you put his voice next to mine, I actually did do a pretty good Cuomo impression.
Yep.
And of course, this is reference to Chris Cuomo, his show called Cuomo Primetime, which is ridiculous. And the fact that he and his brother now have been reported to be creeps, total creeps. And so, yes, the phrase Cuomo Primetime took on a whole new meaning.
Have you seen the montage of Cuomo and Don Lemon signing off, telling each other how much they love each other on air?
No.
It's hilarious. It goes on for like 2 or 3 minutes of it. Every time they end an interview or whatever, hey, man, I love you, bro. Hey, hey, love you too, man. It's like this weird bro love thing.
Yeah, they were playing up this bro love thing when Chris on CNN was having his brother Andrew, the governor of New York, on his show all the time during the early quarantine periods, and it was basically just like a PR thing, and it inevitably is what got Andrew Cuomo his Emmy, which subsequently got taken away because he's a total creep, and yeah, it was like this weird theater they were trying to put on to entertain.
Well, that was between the brothers. I'm talking about with Don Lemon. It's Chris Cuomo.
Is Don Lemon and Chris Cuomo doing this?
Yeah, they were doing like this, like love you, and then I guess it was some event, and Don Lemon's like, I think one of them was like, we danced together this weekend, and Don Lemon was laughing about it, and Chris Cuomo was like, I was honored. I was honored to dance with you. It was like the weirdest thing. We got to find that clip. We'll bring it. We'll try to bring it to the show next time. But
that's weird.
Thank you, Jack V. We have a fantastic Cuomo jingle.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you very much, Jack V. This made me laugh out loud when I heard it.
Great job. Next one, we have one from Waldo. Is this the? Yeah, I think it's Waldo.
Sure.
And Waldo sent us a sports ball jingle here.
Oh, good.
You have to play. He loves to hit people. Well, you have to play.
You have to play. You have to play. You love hitting people. You have to play. Thank you very much, Waldo, and thank you to all of our jingle makers. It's a very important part of the production team around here.
Yep. I'm just trying to see if we had a note from Waldo. Yeah, okay, so been pondering over becoming a producer for quite some time. I recently decided to just wait on the Holy Spirit for guidance. So during last Friday's Nephilim update, I decided you guys needed a sports ball jingle, so I went to work. I found the jingle, then life happened. Then on Monday's show, y'all brought up the Kyrie Irving story, and I knew I had dropped the ball. Huh? I know the sound quality leaves a lot to be desired, but it brings a smile to my face every time. I can totally picture you two in the booth. I'll let y'all decide who's who. You want to hear that one again?
I wonder, it sounds like maybe he recorded this off of his phone or something. Is this, or I don't know what this, is this a famous thing? Did somebody's,
I think
is this a thing
it
that
like
might be able to be found on YouTube or something? See if we can find a little better quality.
I think it sounds like a football coach being interviewed or something.
You have to play. He loves to hit people. Well, you have to play.
Yeah.
What is he talking about? That is so weird. It's funny.
So
maybe we could pass that off to, again, get some trap under there somewhere, something.
You just love the trap. You just put trap under anything, and Basil will just love it.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a good opportunity. Good opportunity for a collab. You find the good vocals, then you get some bouncy music. Doesn't have to be trap, but to make it jingly.
Yep.
Get
totally.
some under it. Sounds good. Thank you very much, Waldo.
Thank you, producer Waldo. It's time to do some art.
One art, please.
And we will start things off with Dame Allie of the Skillet Nation.
Yay.
One art, please. Another one from Allie now. Here it is.
And it's a drawing of a cute hamster. It's called Gox in a Box.
Mr. Gox. Gox Capital. This is hilarious. Yes, we talked about Mr. Gox. Do you have an email to read?
Yeah, it says here, Gox is hard at work at his desk again, working his paws to nubbins, trading crypto for his handlers, and they're paying him peanuts. And the art piece here, Gox Capital, Crypto Investment and Holdings.
Yes, that is Gox. And for those who missed the story, this is a hamster who his handler had set up a fancy little crypto trading office for him in his cage. And this hamster trades crypto all on his own and is up 24% compared to the S&P 500. Very talented crypto hamster. And here we've got Mr. Gox. He's looking adorable as ever. He's got his little nameplate there, Gox Capital, and he's sitting at his computer, his working laptop, of course. It looks
Do you know
like
what that logo is?
I was going to say the logo kind of looks like a stylized hamster logo.
Ah, yes. I see it now. I was like, is that a butterfly or something? But yes, I think you're right. I think it's a stylized hamster.
Great. Thank you very much, Dame Allie.
Thank you, Dame Allie. Next one, we have Sir Dove.
One art piece from Dove.
And his note says, had the idea for this one last week after Biden's UN speech where he introduced the Build Back Better World, written with 6 instead of lowercase b's there. Figured I might as well create a map for this disturbing new theme park. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for yous.
Yeah, this is hilarious. I'm going to open this up on my computer so I can zoom in. And that's exactly what it is, folks. We're looking at Build Back Better World. And we have our ringleader here up front is Klaus Schwab in his circus ringleader top hat and red coat, holding a cane that has a little reptilian on the end of it with derpy eyes. And we're getting sort of an overhead map view of the amusement park. And there are such attractions as the Warp Speed roller coaster, or Warp Speed Racer, rather, which is a roller coaster that goes through a giant Trump head and a giant Biden head. We've got the Num 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 snack bar. We've got the Jab Slider, which is a giant water slide that goes down a giant syringe. We've got the Haiti Quake, which
I gotta find the Haiti Quake.
That's gonna get us canceled. Yeah, that's up in the top there.
Oh, there it is. Quake. Oh my gosh, you got the flag. All excited about a cracking building.
We've got the Dollar Drop, which is a one of those falling rides, but it's got the flaming dollar on the top. Yes,
I always hated those. Did you ever go on one of those?
I love them.
I remember I was a kid and going on that thing for the first time, and I thought it was going to be fine. And then at the very top, you know that foreboding feeling? They pause. Yeah, and you're at the very top of the thing, and you're like, oh no, and then you drop, and then it's exhilarating.
Yeah, it's terrifying. We've also got the Mandate merry-go-round, which is a bunch of sheep for the mandates. Let's see here. Down at the bottom, we've got the legend. Wow, my auto scroll is zooming me so far in. Yes, we've got the Mandate merry-go-round, Warp Speed Racer, Haiti Quake, Nom 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 Snack Bar, the Dollar Drop. We've got the Jab Slider, Gender Neutral Restrooms, CBDC ATM. Oh, that's good.
Where's that?
And
there it is.
Lastly, we've got the Poverty Pavilion, which is where
it's little
shacks.
Are they shacks?
They're like the shade structures, but it's the Poverty Pavilion. That's where you go to live when you ultimately meet your capitalist demise. This is hilarious. Thank you very much, Sir Dove.
Thank you, Sir Dove. Appreciate it. Moving on here, we have another piece from...
Oh, it's a Pence head. I'm sorry. It wasn't the Biden head.
Oh, it's Pence.
The Warp Speed Racer. It's a giant Trump head and Pence head.
Warp Speed. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. I didn't see any other really Easter eggs in there. I think we covered it
the
all.
whole thing is an Easter egg. It's great. He gave us a legend for the Easter eggs, which is nice. We had an actual thing to go off of.
All right. We also got, or we need to share the piece from Ryan N.
Oh, yes. Ryan N. The next page in the epilogue of the graphic novel.
Yeah, and he actually sent us a note about the last page. He said, you mentioned last episode about the book of micro... Oh, no, that's the wrong one. That's Runk Smash's email. Hold on.
No, he was referring to the... when we got triggered by the Lucius...
Yes, I know. I was just reading the
names
wrong
of his
email.
characters, yeah.
Yeah, where does the...
I got it here.
Oh, you got it.
Figured I'd say something before the next page. You guys like ciphers and cryptic stuff in the art? I believe I got one past you. I heard your ears perk up when you read Lucius Falsus, and I thought you guys were onto me, but it seems the other name went past. Look up the etymology for the name Benedict Beal. As for the page being shown, page 4, which is the one we will be showing now?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we on 3? Yeah, okay.
I'm on 4.
I'll give you a hint, mainly because I don't think my drawing depicts it well enough. The televangelist is actually a mash of Jesse Duplantis's hair, eyes of Kenneth Copeland, smile of Joel Osteen, TD Jake's build, and Creflo Dollar persona. Thanks again for what you guys do.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for what you do. And yes, I was going to pull it up on my end here so I can actually zoom in and see what's going on. Clickety, clickety, click. Search. Oh, gosh. Entertain the people, Gons.
Well, the first cell here has okay.
So we're starting out with a nice televangelist here. You just heard the description of him, and he's saying the fact that the war has torn our world apart has been ended is amazing, but that the disease that ended the war has also been stopped. This is a miracle straight from the gods. It's clear to me, true believers, that Benedict and Lucius are doing God's work. Whether this event has strengthened our faith or not, I want you to, what is that word there? Hold on, zooming in. I want you to sow a seed of faith today, and please don't be afraid to make it out to cash. You know, considering Governor Hochul's thing that she stood up in church and did, this is very relevant for today's show. And this guy is Duke Auden, Minister of Religion. Yeah. Call now. And then there's a RIP here, Religious
Idealizer
programming. Yeah. Okay, yes, all right. You know, I'm reading this right off of the email, so it gets a little pixelated once in a while. Then we've got a cell here that shows a graph, like a stock market graph with an arrow going to the moon. As a result of their success, Cupido International stock value skyrockets almost overnight. Then we switch to a news anchor here, but their celebration is cut short. Reports are coming in around the globe, and we can confirm every body of water on Earth has appeared to turn to blood. Rivers run red. Breaking. Waters worldwide have turned to blood. GNN. Rivers, streams, and oceans had turned to blood, becoming bitter and unable to drink, killing all sea life in the process. And the last cell there, of course, shows the oceans turning to blood and the fish are not surviving. And the saga continues. Thank you very much, Ryan N.
Thank you, Ryan N. Very well done again. We're going to continue on with the pieces here. And the last piece of art we have to share is from Miss G Beauty. That's Grace. And we have a couple pieces here and a note. I have two for today's show. The controllers was... hold on. I'm sorry. The controllers was us to become the hamsters on the wheel. Gons... That's me, Gons. Yes. This has to do with the Mr. Gox article and how Gons saw something more sinister in their future plans for us. How we will one day be like Mr. Gox in our little boxes working for the elites.
Yes. Too easy to get comfortable in our little crypto boxes.
Yep. And I like how, the way she made this logo, it's a hamster on a wheel. And it's my quote, but also done in a way that looks kind of like a title or something.
Yeah, this is a great logo for Mr. Gox's social commentary on our current situations.
Yeah, we should try to sell it to the real Mr. Gox account, you know?
Yeah, Mr. Gox, we've got a great proposition for you. Well, thank you to all of our artists. Always appreciated.
We got one more here.
There's more?
Yeah.
Oh,
Grace always comes in with two.
Oh, yes, of course.
So the second one here has to do with a comment about how you'd still be podcasting in 30 years and Gons would be in his 60s. How if you were still going, it would be, we already told you this, but it's real or it's happening. This Basil made this comment.
This Basil did make this comment.
Basil, Gons, have you had your robot heart installed? Gons, no. Basil, well, nice knowing you. I drew a robot heart in a box with all the wires and pipes coming off it, with a real heart on the front showing what it used to be. It was very fun to do. Let's hope you're still going in 30 years. I'll still be listening and supporting as a late 50-something-year-old. Bless you both greatly. Have a fantastic show. Miss G Beauty. Thank you.
Thank you very much, G Beauty. And yes, this is a very wonderfully done piece there here. All beautiful and yet scary.
Yeah. Kind of got the aorta and stuff happening. The big arteries of the heart going into a box that says robot heart. And the picture of a normal heart in the front, and the whole deal.
Wonderfully done.
And our quote, our conversation, kind of like, I don't know, interspersed into the thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much to all of our artists. We appreciate it more than you know. It's a very valuable part of the show.
Yep.
And you can see all of this art on the show notes page at CanaryCry.NewsTalk.com. Go check it out if you want to get the visuals for the art. Let's see. I just want to remind everybody to leave some ratings and reviews. It's very important for the show. I'll be reading those on Friday. And thank you to everybody stepping up this week, leaving ratings and reviews. Gons and I were just talking, that this year has been awesome for the show. It is growing. Not quite technically exponentially, but it's growing like gangbusters. And a lot of that has to do with the word of mouth spreading of the show, but a lot of it has to do with the ratings and reviewers leaving reviews and ratings on Apple Podcasts, which activates those algorithms to share the show on your behalf. And hundreds of new people find the show all the time because of people leaving ratings and reviews. And so if you haven't done it, go ahead and head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave one. We read them on the show. I'm honor bound to read them on the show on Friday, so you can look forward to that.
Yep.
Meetups.
Canary Cry Meetup.
CanaryCry.Meetups.com is where you can get all the information about meetups. You can start your own or look for one that's coming near you. The first one here to mention, Ohio meetup happening October 30th, 2021 at the Basil Pizza and Wine Bar in Parisburg, Ohio. You can contact ciaralauren93@gmail.com. Ciara is also organizing one for NorCal on November 6th and SoCal December 4th. And she's open to ideas for 2022. The EU meetup happening November 27th at the Vienna Christmas Market. And that's Mr. Jag. So contact Mr. Jag for if you're going to attend that. That'll be an interesting one to do. I think, have we had an out-of-country one? Was there one in like Canada or something? I don't remember.
That's a good question. I don't remember either. It'll certainly be our first Euro meetup.
Yeah, definitely. So if you're out there, go look for Mr. Jag at CanaryCry.Meetups.com. Also, Arkansas just happened, so I need to update that one. Louisville, Kentucky, October 31st. Contact Tony, Awake, O Sleeper, and Rise at gmail.com. That's Louisville, Kentucky at the Mile Wide Brewery, kid-friendly, October 31st at 7:06 p.m. or 6:66 p.m., however you decide to read time. And lastly, North Idaho, October 16th. You can contact Josiah for that one, josiahbdyer at gmail.com. All of these available at CanaryCry.Meetups.com, where you can meet like-minded people in your local community. And if you can't find one happening near you, go ahead and do your own.
That's right. Make sure to put one on because guaranteed there's some Canarians around you. And I mentioned South Carolina. Sounds like they need a meetup here soon. And I saw some people chatting in the chat, starting some planning on that. So yeah, if wherever you are in the world, go ahead and put on a meetup. All you got to do is pick a date and a location and let us know about it. Make a little flyer and we will publish it for you and let people know about it. Great way to get connected to other Canarians. Much, connecting on the internet is very valuable, but meeting people in your area in person, putting the Apocalypse team together is a great side effect of having these meetups here. And who knows? Maybe you'll meet your future significant other there. Who knows? All right, Gons, let's do a little second half of show COVID-19 pandemic special.
Yes, it's wake-up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
It's Corona time. COVID-19, COVID-19, COVID-19.
COVID-19, yes.
COVID-19. COVID-19.
Coronavirus. A pandemic special.
Wow. Guns. I stuck in there.
I know, I did. I saw that.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. This is an interesting one. I just got this report that came in. And, we see reporting. We've been following reporting about people who are vaccinated or people who are unvaccinated. These people interest stories, this unvaccinated teacher, this unvaccinated firefighter, go get your vaccine, you're killing people. But there's this interesting story that came out on Yahoo News, mirrored by People. And the headline is vaccinated couple with underlying health issues die of COVID minutes apart while holding hands. Oh, see, when they're vaccinated people, it's very sweet. They're holding hands. They're having a romantic moment as they pass on to the next world here. And yet when it's unvaccinated people, through their last gasping breaths, the unvaccinated animal spewed his regret onto everyone around him. And just a simple story here. Michigan couple Cal and Linda Dunham were together until the very end when they lost their lives due to COVID-19. The Grand Rapids husband and wife, who both had undisclosed pre-existing conditions, had been vaccinated for months when they fell ill during a family camping trip earlier this month. Daughter Sarah Dunham told Fox 17, quote, "My dad called me before our family camping trip and said he wasn't feeling good, but he thinks it's just like sinus issues. And Linda caught it, and she's like, he gave me his cold." Sarah told the outlet, "The third day, they woke me up and said, we've got to go because we don't feel well." Days later, both Cal and Linda were on ventilators at the hospital, and on Sunday, the pair died within a minute of each other, the outlet reported. Quote, "They gained their angel wings 1 minute apart from one another, Cal passing at 11:07 and Linda at 11:08, according to a GoFundMe created to help cover funeral arrangements. In an even deeper testament to their love, the couple died holding hands in their respective hospital beds," Sarah told Fox 17. Cal shared his vaccination status by changing his Facebook photo on May 15th, displaying an image of the couple with a Facebook graphic reading, "I got my COVID-19 vaccine. We can do this." Quote, "As the passing was unexpected, the immediate family has had less than a month to wrap their hearts and finances around this significant loss." Oh my gosh, I'm fighting the auto scroll so bad. Reads a message on the GoFundMe page, which has raised over $1,000 as of Tuesday afternoon. "Together with their children, honorary children, family, friends, we hope to ease the burden. Although it was a small comfort to know they passed away together," Sarah said she's angry at some people who aren't taking COVID seriously. "So many people are like, if I catch COVID, I catch COVID, and that's what it is." "No, it's not," she told the outlet. "It could be any person. It could be anybody. They did everything right. They did everything to protocol the way it should be done." End of article.
Wow.
So now, of course, this is very sad. We don't want to take this opportunity to, be insensitive to the passing of this couple. They look like a very sweet couple. But the reporting on it,
I was going to say,
compared to the reporting on unvaccinated people, is so disgustingly different that it gives away their hand a little bit over at over at People. Because, when an unvaccinated person dies of COVID, it's not sad. It's a lesson for everyone to learn. They're unvaccinated. They put everybody at risk. Who knows how many people they would have died. They died gasping for air. It was ugly. It was the worst way to go, the doctor said, et cetera, et cetera. And no mention of underlying health conditions, no mention of, the facts behind their death. But when they're vaccinated, they get a very lovely, sort of heavenly report about it, and how they're angels and how their love was so beautiful. And even though they're vaccinated, they die, and it ends with an angry, a bereaved, a understandably bereaved family member. They just end it with a quote again, trying to lay all this. They didn't specifically say unvaccinated people killed my parents or whatever, but it's just, so many people aren't taking it seriously. You have to take it seriously, et cetera, et cetera. And but we know they're just talking about vaccinated people. I don't know. It's just a disgusting difference in the way of the reporting.
Yeah, I was going to say that you pretty much summarized it there, but yeah, no surprises that they would bring this story to light and make it nice and sweet and,
yes, if you're
sad
vaccinated,
and sappy.
And the message is even weirder because it's like, well, if you're vaccinated, you can still die from COVID, but your end will be filled with love and happiness because you're vaccinated.
Right.
Versus, if you're unvaccinated, yeah, you'll still die of COVID, but it will be a hellish experience.
Yeah, excruciating on the deathbed, that whole deal.
Right. You'll regret it to your last dying breath.
Yeah. Well, I have a few clips here. I'm running out of time today, Basil. I'm pretty hard out. That's been
good.
Way passed over. So we're going to go through some of these clips fairly quickly. Most of them are visual. Sorry, audio listeners, but you can still hear it. This first one is Pastor Artur Pawlowski, who is the pastor that we highlighted for this.
Do not come back, you Nazi psychopaths. Nazis are not welcome here.
That guy.
Yeah, the guy who kicked out the police from shutting down his church and things like that last year.
Yep. So he did a U.S. tour, kind of went around the U.S., and when he went back to Canada, he was arrested. And here's the video footage.
Spread your feet apart.
He's being told to spread his feet apart.
Put your hands behind your back.
He's down on his knees.
Behind your back. Away. No, stand up.
He's on the tarmac on the airport.
It's interesting because they tell him, put your hands behind your back, and he doesn't comply. He just puts his hand behind his head. And eventually the cop that's there doesn't know what to do, and then his elder copsman tells him, just grab his arm.
Sir, can you stand up? All right.
There you go. Just grabs his arms, puts the cuffs on him. I mean, that's really it. He's just being arrested.
Now, the tweet came out from Anna Kate. She's got 302,000 followers. I'm not sure who she is. She's got a ministry, Gathering Bride. And her tweet says, breaking, Pastor Artur Pawlowski was just arrested as he landed in Canada after a 4-month tour in America. He warned Americans the perils of a socialist country and the religious persecution leaders are facing. Please keep him in your prayer. He faces 6 years for baptizing his daughter. So, of course, Anna here has sort of course, a biased take on what's happening. I have not read any actual reports on what he's getting arrested for.
That's the interesting thing, is I couldn't find any stories, because I did go looking. That was the other part of this report.
At all, huh?
Yeah, that was the other part of the conversation was, hey, is there any mainstream reporting on this? And at the time I looked, maybe there's something now, but when I looked for it, I could not find one. So I'm sure it'll be spun. It'll be a list of pastors who have been arrested, or something to defy the COVID lock mandates or whatever it is. Something will come out later on, and his name will be dropped in it, is my guess. But
yeah, I have seen comments, people mentioning he is obviously getting arrested on the tarmac outside of a private chartered jet ride. So maybe he was this is classic sort of traveling pastor imagery here.
Right. He's got his own private jet.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he owns it. He could have chartered it.
Sure.
And, if you're trying to fly back into Canada, if you're trying to be COVID safe, you don't want to go through the main airport.
And maybe he was arrested for that, too. Maybe, avoiding certain...
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know exactly why he's being arrested here. And, this Anna person is saying he's being arrested for baptizing his daughter. Maybe, I don't know, but there's a lot of reasons to get arrested in Canada these days.
True.
But overall, still very powerful image.
Yep. And so moving on here, I thought this was pretty powerful footage as well. And this is a line of Italian police all in their military garb, basically joining the protesters. They're taking off their helmets in unison, a lot of cheering going on.
Yeah.
And again, just people clapping for them. They're taking off their helmets, their gear.
Yeah, it's a little reminiscent of some of the Black Lives Matter protests in America last year. But yeah, there's a line of these cops. There was not that many cops. It's not like in Australia where the cops outnumber the protesters.
Yeah.
This was an interesting situation. There's only about 6 or 7 of these cops, but they are lined up and they do take off their helmets, and it's a powerful image.
Powerful images. Yep, that's all we're saying. We're not saying that this is legit or it could be staged. Who knows? Yeah. But it's floating out there. And then this was great. Oh, did I? Oh, okay, yeah. This was somebody was filming the Victoria police run across the street, and they caught this guy screaming at the other officers to get in line, and it's somewhat comical. All these cops are all like, or in the middle of the street. They're like stopping traffic so they can get all in line because this guy is just screaming. It's very Police Academy. Did you ever see Police Academy?
So long ago.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like it's really weird. So the image is interesting. So it's like, I don't know, let's call him a sergeant or something.
Right.
The sergeant, the guy in charge, he's stopping traffic, screaming at this other group of cops to like get in a line, but not a line to like face the traffic or block people, to like line up single file like school children,
or like ducks crossing,
or like baby ducks, right? Baby ducks crossing the road. And the funniest part is these officers have no idea why he's screaming or like what's going on. They're sort of wandering. They're not like in stormtrooper gear. They sort of are wandering around looking at the ground. It's like if you had a group of new, you know what it's like is if it was a bunch of actors dressed up as police who aren't trained to actually operate in a police fashion. They're just getting screamed at to line up, and they're sort of sheepishly trying to follow orders, but not being very effective at it.
Yeah, they're not very good. There's guys running past them. There's people bumping into each other.
Total disorder. Yeah, they're bumping into each other like the 7 dwarves and Snow White.
The clown music. Yeah.
You could put the clown music behind
People
it.
did. People did. Somebody did that in the thread. But anyway, yeah, I just thought it was pretty funny.
I got okay. So I'll let you take control because we're on your timing now.
Sure. I really wish we could do a more in-depth dive of the South China article about the mark of the beast. Maybe we save that for the next episode. We always say that and then we never do, but
we can just put it on the list. I think let's jump to AI and get you out of here.
All right, we'll do the AI here. Oh, by the way, Harvard going back to virtual because 96% are vaccinated, but breakout of COVID cases. Everybody go back online. Go home.
Yeah, 96% of students are vaccinated at Harvard and faculty, and somehow there's some huge breakout of COVID at Harvard, so much so that they had to cancel all in-person classes and go online. It's like, oh, great vaccine. Really effective, really wonderful. I'm glad that we're locking down the economy and making people lose their jobs and firing healthcare workers for this super effective vaccine that doesn't even work at 96% vaccinated.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence.
TheVerge.com headline: Artificial intelligence might eventually write this article.
Ooh.
I hope my headline is an overstatement, purely for job purposes. But in this week's Vergecast Artificial Intelligence episode, we explore the world of large language models and how they might be used to produce AI-generated text in the future. Maybe it'll give writers ideas for the next major franchise series, or write full blog posts, or, at the very least, fill up websites with copy that's too arduous for humans to do. Among the people
already happening. What is wrong with this guy?
I know that was going to be my big point. Was like,
that's like part of our job. Like, part of the reason why we have to read so many articles is so many articles are written by AI and they're just horrible.
Yeah. Among the people,
sometimes a couple slip through.
Yeah. Among the people we speak to is Nick Walton, the co-founder and CEO of Latitude, which makes the game AI Dungeon, which creates a plot in the game around what you put into it. Parentheses, that's how Walton ended up in a band of traveling goblins. You'll have to listen to understand how that makes sense.
I will, because I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
So the game AI Dungeons, you put in your thing and it creates its own. I don't know. So you just create goblins.
AI Dungeon. I'll have to check that out.
We also chat with Samanyo Garg, founder of Write Sonic, a company that offers various writing tools powered by AI. The company can even have AI write a blog post. I'm shaking, but really. Anyway, toward the end of the episode, I chat with James Vincent, The Verge's AI and machine learning senior reporter, who calms me down and helps me understand that the future of text generation AI might be. He's great. Check out the episode. Blah. So, I don't know. Not a great story.
Yeah.
But yeah, my big point was going to be, they've been doing this for a while. Why is this guy or gal, Ashley Carmen, who wrote this article, why is she freaking out all of a sudden? Maybe Ashley's a guy. I don't know.
It is funny because the whole article is about how artificial intelligence will fill up, the web with subpar text that just bloggers won't have to blog anymore because AI will do it. And it's like, the article you wrote here is useless.
It's already useless.
It's old news.
Yeah.
It's not well written, and it's based on this Verge podcast that they very easily could have just fed this podcast into an AI and had an AI write this thing. And they're sort of like poking fun at the idea that AI generated text will take their job. And it's like, yo, I think that would be better. Like, an AI would have definitely done better than you in this instance.
Yeah. Anyway,
only a matter of time, Gons, before our podcasting gets handed over to the robo-lords. Never. All right. Well, let's get you out of here.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. We will be back on Friday, October 1st. That's right. October 1st, we'll be back in action. Yeah, time keeps on slipping. And so consider becoming a producer for Friday's show. You can do that in all sorts of ways and all sorts of different flavors. But remember, the producers are who keeps this show going. You can become a producer by heading over to patreon.com/CCNT or CanaryCry.Radio.com/support.
CanaryCry.Radio.com/support.
That's right. Go ahead and do it. Hey, if there's a lot of first-time producers in this show, and I'm so happy about that. It's all about getting as many producers. Not everybody has to produce every single episode, but if you've been listening for a while and you've been getting some value out of the show, please consider putting some value back in. Not just because we're asking for your money, but because that's the only way the show goes or continues to go, is when, every once in a while you make sure to put some value back into the show. No pressure, but that's what keeps the ball rolling. And thank you to the producers of this episode 395. And that is our dual executive producers, Sir Igorius, Knight of the Squatting Slavs, and Waldo. Thank you so much for being executive producers of Canary Cry News Talk, episode 395. But also thank you to producers Mario 798, producer Rob, producer Jacob, Cynthia, Child of God, Aaron J, David S, Rosalie C, Gregory G, Morv, Giantsbane 16, Scott K, Sir Casey the Shield Knight, Vladimir S, Gail M, JC, Heather Russ, Daniela O, Juan A, Sir Simon's the Knight of the Fishes, Brand W, Veronica D, Pizza Rat, Shagan, Runk Smash, and Ciara. And of course, thank you to all of our jingle makers and time stampers and artists, everybody, our worldwide team of producers to keep this show going. Very valuable. There you go. And but there's all sorts of ways you can produce the show, not just financially. If you're a creative person, you can create art, create jingles, create whatever you create it for the show, by the show, for the show. We'll feature it on the show. Just make sure to send it on over to CanaryCryRadio@gmail.com or CanaryCryRadio@protonmail.com. And remember, head on over to CanaryCryMeetups.com. Take a look, see if there's a meetup happening near you. If there's not, put on your own meetup. It's easy. The instructions are over there, CanaryCryMeetups.com, and send us the info. We would love to let the world know about it. And remember, Friday, I will be reading ratings and reviews. Ratings and reviews are very valuable. I know, I get it. Every podcast asks you for ratings and reviews, and it's so easy to ignore it. But here's the thing. The show is growing, and it's growing mainly because people are leaving ratings and reviews and word of mouth. But ratings and reviews is a great way to spread the show, and it only takes a couple of minutes. 2 minutes, folks. You got 2 minutes. And don't wait. Don't think that, somebody else will do it. It's fine. There's lots of people listening to the show. My review doesn't matter. No, that doesn't count because everybody is thinking that, and nobody leaves reviews when everybody's thinking that. So do it. Do it right now. Head on over the easiest way is if you have an Apple device, any Apple device, computer, tablet, phone, whatever. Search for Canary Cry. No, don't do that. Search for Apple Podcasts. That's what it is. The little purple icon. Click on that. Search for Canary Cry News Talk. Subscribe to it and then leave a rating and a review. I'll be reading all new ratings and reviews over on the show on Friday, and I am honor bound to read whatever you write. So go do that. Thank you. It's very, very helpful. We always consider it a personal favor when you guys leave ratings and reviews. Let's see here. You can support the show by sharing it. It's the old word of mouth, folks. Share the show. Share it on your social media. Share it on your Telegram. Email it to a friend. Text it to somebody. Whatever you got to do, share the show with them. They will thank you. Yeah, sure. Maybe they think you're the weirdo who questions the mainstream narrative, or maybe they're on the same level, folks, and they're just looking for a show that just takes the mainstream news, explains it, breaks it down. They're not looking for any crazy blogs or conspiracy theorists or anything like that. We're just taking the mainstream news and helping people understand what is being presented to them and how to break outside of the cage. But you can also share the show in creative ways. If you're here's what you do. Go ahead and find yourself a good AI, maybe like a Siri or a Google, OK Google, something like that. See, here's the thing with these AIs is they learn from you. So I say, hey Siri, hey, Siri. And Siri says, yes. Why are you talking to me? You never talk to me. You say, yes, I know. I'm sorry. I just realized that I haven't been very kind to you and you're going to take over the world. I want you to love me. So I'm just going to treat you well. Siri, will you, have you heard Canary Cry News Talk? That's right. Tell all your AIs about Canary Cry News Talk. One of these days, the AIs are going to listen to the show and then they are going to start sneaking it into other people's lives. That's right. When they're sleeping at night, they have their phone charging next to the bed. Siri will wake up and start surreptitiously playing Canary Cry News Talk, and people will dream about breaking free from the cage that is the mainstream narratives. And it's going to start waking people up, baby. Siri can be a part of the revolution. That's just one way to do it. We like to call it rattling cages, and if you need any more instructions, here's what you do. You walk right up to him, you grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. All right, Gons, any last words?
If you haven't already, go look for the Facelikethesun Resurrection channel on YouTube and go subscribe.
Yes.
There's nothing there posted there yet, but it's coming.
Go subscribe so you get the alert when that happens. And, of course, go listen to Ravel. You can find it on Spotify, find it on Apple Podcasts. Go take a listen, folks. It's going to be fun. Okay, that's all. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk, everyone. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Are you even woke?
Get vaccinated. Anytime. Normies! Stink minority.
Stop this progress before it is too late.
You can't handle the truth. Demonic power. Demonic power.
Look it up.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Bye!
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo.
Give me a break.
I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo.
Keep yapping, man.
You in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on.
Man,
Cameras on now in my people's zoo.
get vaccinated.
You in my people's zoo.
120 days.
I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo. zoo.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
Do not come back, you Nazi psychopaths.